not make it that close.
Getting into the transition pretty early. SDC making a little bit of
Let's go, Ginger!
It looks like CIA, SDC both pretty clean shove there, but the buggies are fairly close coming into that free roll.
This is going to be interesting to see how good CIA has gotten with buggy technology over the past 2 years, because SDC, we know this buggy Bane is fast. This buggy has won race day twice. So, and it's really holding steady right now.
Two buggies, really not a ton of separation, maybe, 4 buggy lengths between the two of them. Coming over the stop sign, looking to get some live times there. We may have an approximation right now. Another great thing, we got a man in the chute, Mark Estes. Mark, you down there?
About 5 buggy lengths apart.
Appears
Sorry. Yeah,
he may not be. Pretty clean turn coming out there from CIA B. SDCC as well. Both teams really clean right there, and it's going to be all about the back hills.
Wow, look at that roll up. Look at that.
Yeah. We're really
And here,
both of those girls just got burned.
we're talking about, it's the best the course has looked in many, many years, and you see that there. Beautiful rollout.
Yeah, you can really see the difference without the potholes. The drivers can be much more efficient with their lines and the different, invented lanes in the back hills. It's going to improve the times a lot.
SDCC gaining a little bit of ground right here. Still maybe a buggy length between the two teams. Going to come down to Hill 5, and the transition comes here for CIAB. SDC transitions now.
Pushing there on Hill 5 for CIAB is their men's A-team driver. So let's see how, this gets her amped up before her race for later today. Women's A-team driver.
Getting a bit of separation, but now look at SDC closing the gap a little bit right there. And this is where the Hill 5 for SDCC, a little stronger, a little bigger, and they're coming across the finish line right here.
Oh.
And by a nose.
Now, did the SDC driver have her hand on the push bar when the nose crossed? Because I know it was off when the middle of the buggy crossed.
Let's see if we can get a replay on that. Exciting action to kick things off here at race day.
Now, Mike, have you ever seen a race where the two buggies stayed just that close to each other for the whole race without one of them passing the other one?
Yeah, honestly, no. I think it was very well driven by both drivers. They stuck to their lines and weren't getting too antsy about, being close to one another. And this is why it's important to have pass tests and such in the practices so that, drivers can get comfortable. Normally, they're not practicing with other buggies so close, but these drivers handled it really well.
And I've got to say, I'm really impressed with CIA B on that because, CIA B team buggy going up against Bane, one of the fastest buggies of all time, and stayed right there. Same speed, same distance, the whole race down the hill.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to how exciting we expect these races to be here. CIAB last year was a second slower than SDCC. And, we've done a lot of looking into the different push teams. We'll get to that later today, but it's definitely going to make for an exciting race to see CIA finish just a little bit ahead of SDCC this time.
And so, we're kicking things off here. Second heat coming up, but overall thoughts today for the women's race. What are you guys expecting to see? Obviously, last year, CIA coming out, shocking a lot of people. Do you expect a repeat? Who do you think are the teams to watch here on qualifying day?
I think the teams to watch today, SDCA, I think is going to be a lot more competitive than last year. CIAA won women's last year. We can't sleep on them, especially after that free roll that they just put up. One of the dark horse teams, I don't think they're going to compete for the win, but may be able to slide in there for one of the lower end trophies is Apex A. They have a lot of returning pushers from last year. Their buggy technology is not up to snuff. That's what's going to hold them back from really competing with the top teams. So we'll see how they can pull off. They just need to make sure they don't have any DQs or any issues. And then, Fishing Club, we got to talk about Fishing Club. They are effectively Pika rolling, and they're going to be competitive. They have the returning Queen of the Hill coming back and a really fast hill, too, as well.
Yeah, I think that Pike is definitely or Fishing Club's definitely the team that I'm looking to watch here. They're returning those front hills, which were phenomenal pushers last year, but they've got really a good opportunity to make a run at the top spot. Also, I think CIA is going to improve their time a little bit from last year. They, like you mentioned, they do have a lot of returning pushers, great women, and SDC is definitely also looking to improve their time significantly. I think it's going to be a little bit more crowded near the top. CIA kind of pulled away with it last year in the women's race, but overall, definitely going to look to drop some seconds off a lot of the top teams.
Very good. Action getting underway here. Of course, this is just qualifying. For those of you who may be new to Buggy, not quite sure about the rules and such. This is day one. Top, how many teams from women's move on? Top 8?
Top 8 for women's with trophies to the top 4 teams, and then top 10 for men's with the top 6 getting trophies.
So it's all about getting one of those top qualifying times. How does that play into the psychology, knowing, right, we are going to have 2, knock on wood, I've seen the weather. It's meant to be great and gorgeous both these days. So assuming we do have 2 full days of Buggy for the first time, and I think since I was a freshman, which is a long time ago. I don't go here anymore. But how does that play into the psychology of the teams, knowing they're going to get 2 full days of Buggy?
Well, we got 2 days last year, but the first day was condensed, so it made it a little bit tougher on some teams. Plus, with the weather, a lot of teams were taking off on day 1. I think that this year, having 2 full days with the course as paved as it is and really just looking good, teams are going to go out there, feel it out on day 1, go fast, but maybe not all out, and then knowing that they're going to be around tomorrow, they're going to go out there and really just go as fast as they can and try to put up maybe even a course record if they can pull it off.
Yeah, I think, this is racing, right? Nobody's holding back here. We really, every team's out there to put up the best time that they can. And we expect a lot from this year. I think a lot of teams, especially near the top, some of those teams we were talking about earlier are really hungry to kind of drive those times down. Last year was quite slow. One of the slowest race days in decades, actually.
Yeah. Well, the course last year was just atrocious. I mean, it was falling apart, and they repaved a small section of it, but the chute was so bad that teams were just nervous, I think.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of compounding factors. Definitely one of them was the push teams. You look at the front hill times, they're just really not up to snuff compared to some of the top teams in previous years. We've taken a look at some of the practice times in the back hills. We're expecting, maybe each hill's going to drop half a second based on the new roads. But there were a lot of pushers that were a lot slower than that. Slower than 1 second off of a historical good time. So,
and I think the other thing is a lot of the teams are smaller than they've been in years past. You have teams like CIA who are growing, but SDC only rolled 3 teams last year. Fringe, they rolled 4 teams last year, but Fringe is still rebuilding that program. They had a little bit of fall off over the last couple of years, but I think they're coming back strong. I really want to see what they can do for this year, but it's going to be interesting to see just how teams can grow their rosters back up. Get more teams out there on the roads, so that we have, every team putting out at least 1 or 2, or at least 2 teams, A and B team. I think that's reasonable for most of the teams that are out there on the course. They have enough manpower between the fraternity or wherever they are to roll 2 buggies.
Yeah, I think, Fringe has put in a lot of recruiting power this year. We can take a look at, some of the rosters from previous years, and we see that some of their pushers have moved down in teams. It's really the mark of excellent recruiting. You've brought in fresh people. You're gonna check out how fast they are, and if they're pushing your experienced veterans right down in their teams, that's really solid.
Getting set here for the second heat of the day. Lane 1, we're gonna have Fringe B. Lane 2, Spirit B. Lane 3, CMU A. Rolling out on the women's side. What do we expect here in this heat?
So this one could be really interesting. CMU hasn't fielded a women's team in quite some time, not in the past 4 years, so we don't really have any, solid estimate of how they're going to do. And as a matter of fact, Fringe B and Spirit B are extremely close also. This heat could be very exciting.
It looks to me like CMU A is not going to make it out to the heat because they are not down at the bottom of the hill, and all of the mechanics are away.
Yeah, and it looks like we're starting off here. Second heat of the day. Spirit B, lane 2, Fringe B, lane 1. Pretty tight coming up on this hill 1.
Now, Fringe has their new buggy Boson rolling in this heat. It's looking like a very good build. They're very, very happy with it. It believes it's rolling around the same time as BISA, which is their 18 buggy. So we're going to have to see what happens with this. This is going to be very close to the top of the hill.
Close transition right there. Spirit maintaining a little bit of a lead right there, coming up into the stop sign. Fringe, though, quite close, and let's see how they get these shoves off. Spirit didn't necessarily get all of it.
All right, so we see here, the Fringe driver started a little bit on the outside. Compared to the last heat, CIA and SDC were both, in agreement right at the beginning. They're following the line. So Fringe driver might be thinking about a pass here. We'll see what happens.
I'm very surprised that Fringe is staying pretty much right in line behind Spirit. Spirit's really rolling fast.
I'd say, if anything, Spirit's gaining a little bit of ground right there.
And Spirit, on their free rolls, 28 seconds at the stop sign.
Coming through here, about to enter into the chute. Do we have our man in the chute, Mark Estes? We do not.
Some real tight turns there.
I think Spirit hit the hay bales.
Yeah, it looks like Spirit hit the hay bales there. Fringe B going to pass as it's coming up here into Hill 3.
I've got Fringe at about a 57.9 on their free roll, which last year would be about 3 seconds faster, I believe, than their B team free roll.
And Spirit often maligned through the chute. You thought maybe a cleaner chute would be beneficial to them. They've been looking a bit better through rolls this year. Unfortunately for them, their first buggy rolling out today, and it can't quite make it through. Fringe B all alone here, just trying to get a good time, make it on to day 2, get a spot in the finals here.
Yeah, you'd think that, with all the practice they've gotten in the spring, all the teams gotten, and people are going real fast in the downhill. So it's hard to tell whether, the road conditions are helping more than, they might be making it more challenging to make it through. But definitely we're going to see some real fast teams. Spirit's free roll time there was quite competitive.
And even Fringe being at a 57 on their women's B team, I mean, that's going to put their women's A team, probably somewhere around a 55? That's a time we haven't seen out of a women's race in years.
Yeah, 55-second free roll for a women's team is good for first place.
Fringe comes across right there. Going to be a did not finish for Spirit. We'll see their time. Do have times coming out of the earlier race. As we saw, very close. CIA B on that first race, a little bit faster, 2:47.5. SDCC 2:47.875. Fringe B on this heat, they are giving them a 2:51.34 unofficially. So both CIA and SDC about 4 seconds faster.
So that time for Fringe right there is good enough for the second day easily compared to last year. This is a really good harbinger for the rest of the day. I think teams are really going to go very fast. Second through 5th place in the prelim times last year, those were all 240s. And so it looks like, as we were expecting, teams are looking to drop a lot of time off.
And if we look at SDCC for a reference on last year their time was a 3:11.2. They just rolled a 2:47. 2:47. That's 25 seconds faster than last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And even CIAB last year, they were at a 3:12 in prelims, and then in finals they came back stronger and they rolled a 2:54. They were also a 2:47.
Yeah, cutting 7 seconds off right there.
Yeah, and it's it's really good that all these people are getting involved in buggy. This really speaks to the turnout this year among participation among the different teams. You just can't explain that kind of drop in time by the course or something like that. That's a lot of time.
still have eyes there in the chute, trying to make sure driver is all right. Can give you an update on that when we know more. But Spirit, right, not making it through the chute, obviously been a theme over time. What do you think that does to the team's confidence today? You know, the first buggy they roll out, not getting through the chute.
It's never a good way to start your day with a crash, especially a team that's, you know, always on edge about what could possibly happen in the chute with their recent instability problems. But hopefully, their A-team driver, who did have a spin on the wet roads in the beginning of the day last year, is going to go into this and be like, you know, that's not me. That, you know, unfortunately, it happened to one of our drivers. She's new. It's her first one race day. Maybe she got a little bit amped up, but I got this. And I'm going to go out there for my team, Spirit, my family, like they refer to each other as, and really go out there and try to make a statement.
And this is a year, is Spirit a team to look out for? I know, especially on the men's side, there's been a lot of rumblings. What do you think about their potential on the women's side of the race?
So I think, you know, Spirit's pre-roll times during rolls, truck weekend, have been incredibly fast. We're expecting a lot from them, but at the same time, you know, this is a somewhat familiar situation for Spirit, right? They really, you know, they do have the technology to go fast, and it's always just a question of, you know, whether they can handle it, whether they can get their buggies around the course. You know, I think of Spirit as a very unflappable team. You know, they got a lot of confidence. I don't think this is going to affect them that much. You know, they're just doing their jobs.
It looks like the driver there, Helen Kim, able to get out safely, walking around there. So definitely good to see. Obviously, you know, safety, huge priority on race day. And, you know, speaking of Spirit A, they are in this next heat. Spirit A, SDCD, Fringe D. So, you know, back to back, what's that like from like a mechanics perspective, you know, rolling two buggies in a row?
Well, that's actually going to be really tough for them. I didn't realize their A-team was rolling in this heat because they've got a lot of their mechanics and pushers now are probably down there in the chute trying to make sure their driver's okay. Then the buggy's going to come back up to the tent and they're going to have to see, was there any damage? Is there anything that we need to do on this? And then is there any chance that the wheels that were on that buggy, they were going to swap them out and throw them onto the other buggy? Did they flat spot them when they spun in the chute and then hit the hay bales? We're not really sure what they're doing. I would hope they have another set that's going on the other buggy, but this could be a little bit of a game changer for them. Let's see how it affects them when they come out with their women's A.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the kind of thing that as a team of mechanics you really live for, right? You need everybody to pitch in. There's a lot to do. It's all very important and urgent. So, you know, if I'm Spirit right now, this is crunch time. This is where you're really going to prove yourself as mechanics. You know, getting all this stuff in order. This next heat coming up is really interesting. I labeled it as, you know, Battle of the D teams. I think Spirit is going to pull away easily, you know, from the other two teams in the heat, SDCD and Fringe D. But it's, you know, it's very hard to predict. There's a lot of turnover in D teams usually. There could be some action between SDCD and Fringe D.
Yeah, and I hope that we can get some camera shots on that battle in the back. Always going to follow the lead team because they're the ones that are going to be going into finals. But it's always good to show everybody on the buggy course. Everybody, even the guys in the D team, men and women on the D teams, they're working really hard. They're coming out to rolls every day. So those people deserve to get some camera time as well.
Absolutely.
We'll get a shot of that. Trying to see these times again, just running over the scores or times. Wow. Thus far, in first place, CIA B at 2:47.5. Second place, SDCC with 2:47.875, and then Fringe B in third right now, 2:51.343. Again, the top 8 squads gonna make it on to tomorrow with an opportunity to compete, to take home a trophy. After so much work, trying, you know, to prepare, to build up to this moment, you really only get one chance with race day.
Now, a really cool thing we have this year up on cmuBuggy.org under the leaderboard is a speed trap, giving us live updates on the speed coming into the chute in feet per second. Spirit B was the fastest team coming into the chute. They were at 50.6 feet per second. We had Fringe B at 49.7. SDCC was second. They're at 50.3, and CIA B at 49.9. So that's very close between those top ones, but it is, definitely surprising, but also really nice to see Spirit up there at the top.
Yeah, so just looking at these times, a good rule of thumb, if you're a B team, you get, let's see, 247 there for CIAB. Your A team's probably about 10-15 seconds faster, and that pushes them right up into the range that CIA was last year. On the other hand, SDCC putting up the same time, that makes me really interested to see their A team. I'm going to guess about 20 seconds faster. Under 2:30 is a very competitive time.
Yeah, if SDCC is any indication of how strong the rest of their women's teams are, SDC might blow this one away.
And you got to think there's motivation to do so. After being on top for so many years, CIA coming out, taking victory last year. Do you have any sense of what the tone was like for SDC, their women's squad, trying to get back into things this year?
Hungry for faster time, pushing the limit. There's been a huge push, pun not intended, to get out there and recruit new, better pushers, get a lot of practice in. I know that one of the push captains, she's got Get Jacked with Ginger. Their regular workouts, really putting in the time and the practice to get faster. Definitely, overall, I expect pretty much every team is hungry. When you come off of a race day and you look bad compared to buggy teams in the 80s, look bad compared to teams in the 90s, that's some real motivation there. You don't want to set back the clock 20 years. You want to push it forward. So we got to really see what happens here for the rest of these races.
Looks like we're rolling on about a 5-minute delay right now for the next heat. They're saying it's going to go off at about 8:45.
8:45, great. So we got a couple minutes before that gets underway. And it is an interesting point you bring up, Michael, though. Historically slow year last year. A lot of it perhaps due to the course, but as we've been mentioning, these times already much improved year over year coming up here.
This is really what we would expect from a race day. These are the times that we would expect to see. In the last 2 years, it's really kind of fallen off, but it's really good to see some excitement back, see some times that really are competitive where they should be. I haven't been around this last 2 years, so I don't really know what's going on in terms of the technology. You got some new wheels and stuff out there, but definitely nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, even compared to 2014, 2013, these faster years, the times that we have so far are again still about 10 seconds faster than those even. So, granted, your B teams, your C teams, not always perfectly indicative of how the rest of the pushers are looking. But I would say that even compared to 2014, 2013, it's looking to be some really fast times.
Waiting here to get underway with these heats. Looks like the buggies are coming onto the course. It's going to be lane 1 Spirit A, lane 2 SDC D, and lane 3 Fringe D. All the buggies getting set down here. Spirit A, Spirit rolling in back-to-back heats. Had that suit. And here we go, Spirit A trying to redeem things for their squad, coming out pretty powerful here on Hill 1.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the rest of it goes. She's looking pretty fast, but I was expecting a little more separation between her and some D teams.
We see SDC D, Fringe D, pretty much neck and neck. A little bit of a sloppy transition right there into Hill 2, and now Spirit, though, really starting to pull away.
I had the Spirit Hill 1 at a 23.4. That's 3 seconds slower than last year's Hill 1. And they're 36 seconds going into the free roll.
But SDC and Fringe nowhere near them in the free roll.
Oh, SDC's a little bit closer than I would expect them to be.
SDC's actually coming pretty quick into that free roll, but still, Spirit, a lot of room right there. Of course, the biggest question, will they make it through the chute? They're coming pretty smooth here to the stop sign. Looks like SDC behind them, and then Fringe a ways further behind that.
I've got them at a 104.8 at the stop sign.
That's solid.
Solid time.
Coming to the flag.
1 minute's normally what we expect, though, from a winning team.
Coming into the turn.
Taking a very steady approach to that chute turn.
Very wide, but that comes in nice and smooth. Spirit A now. Look at that roll up into hill 3. Pretty good momentum coming through there.
Wow, these pushes are getting dusted. Nobody expected this speed. And look at how
And well,
close
look at SDC
is.
making up a lot of room through the chute.
So
And Fringe as well.
the green tape there, that's Havoc. A little easier to tell in the bright sunlight, but beautiful dark green.
Spirit now all on their back hill. Obviously wanting to get a time that will take them to day 2.
Glad to see that we're getting some eyes in this battle behind of the D teams as well.
Very tight neck and neck. Spirit now transitions from 4 to 5.
Spirit's at a
Great
213 going into Hill 5. So if we get a 27 out of this, they'll be at about a 240. That'll put them in first place for now.
They really killed it on
Alexandra-
the back hills.
Alexandra Moy pushing here, Hill 5. Again, every second they can shave off, the better. Trying to get some good position going into day 2, trying to make sure they can make it into day 2. Approaching the finish line right here. And on the push bar.
Wow, she killed it. 238.
238, 6'9", sub 4,
Wow.
240 unofficial time. Trying to get some eyes here on the battle of the Ds, SDC D, Fringe D.
Now that would have been good for first place at the end of prelims last year.
That's really interesting. Normally you think of Spirit as a team that stacks their front hills. But in this race we saw pretty much the opposite. Their front hills were a little underwhelming, but their back hills were really excellent.
SDC D coming across approximately a 3:01.29. Still waiting.
Which
for
is
Fringe
faster
to
than
come
their
through.
C team from last year.
And these we can see, whether it's the course, whether it's the weather, whether it's that good Pittsburgh water, 3:17 coming across for Fringe there. Teams looking much improved across the board. And a nice showing right there by Spirit A.
Yeah, that was an unofficial time that Connor gave there, but actually, if it holds, that would be a record for SDCD's women team.
Wow, good for them.
3:01.
So we'll see. We'll wait for the official times to come through, but looking pretty close to say Spirit A will move into first place through the action we've had thus far. Looking like the official time is a 2:38.67. Pretty nice, and you imagine that's probably going to be a day 2 time to pull them forward there. So, congrats to Spirit on that. Nice to see the A team with such a strong role. After the B team missing the chute there.
And then we just got an update here on the CMU website about the speed in the chute. Spirit A was fastest again in the chute, or going into the chute. SDC D was actually the slowest, and Fringe was a 47.3. They put in second to last, but Fringe D rolling faster than SDC D. I think that's really interesting for Fringe because the last couple of years, their free rolls haven't been nearly as impressive as they used to be. So to see them now back at the same level as SDC and even a little bit faster on that comparable team, that's really good to see out of Fringe. Good recovery for them.
Yeah, actually, I think we have a number of congratulations are in order. CIA broke their women's B team record, and also SDCC broke their women's C team record. Very impressive.
And
their D team unofficially just broke their record
Right.
too.
Yeah.
So
three team records broken in 3 heats. It's going to be a good year.
yeah.
So very fast rolling. Do you think, so within team records, obviously very good, nice accomplishment, but big records, all-time course records. Do you think we can see any the way buggies are rolling this year, the way teams are rolling this year?
I'm not going to rule it out. I came in first. A lot of people were talking, oh, we might see a record this year. And I was like, can it really be that much faster this year? I mean, how many team records have we seen so far? And how many if a team set a team record, would be a course record. SDC would set a course record. Pika would be very close to a course record if they passed it up. Fringe, if they come out, let's see how good their A team is this year. We've talked about their rosters being moved down and really having some improvement on their push teams.
Yeah, so, SGC's course records in 2009, 203 for the men's, 223 for the women's. There is a huge difference between a 204 and a 203, and a huge difference between a 224 and a 223. In particular, that men's race in 2009 went perfectly. The driver and those 5 pushers could not have gone possibly any faster than they did that day. I think we're going to see some really fast times, but I similarly would expect something special would have to happen for anybody to be really competitive with those times.
Looking here, coming into this next heat, Sigep A going to be rolling there. Interesting year for Sigep. Apex B, nice to see them rolling a B team out, and then CIA D. But talk a little bit about, Sigep had really great momentum for a few years, and now you think they're taking a step back, or where does Sigep stand this year?
I think that Sigep, because of the strength of their house, how big their house is, the amount of members that they have in it, they're still going to put up competitive times, both on the men's and the women's side, because there's just a lot of people involved. In terms of their free roll and their shoot turns, I don't think they're going to be as crisp as they've been in years past. They may lose a little bit of time there. I don't expect them to compete for the win on the women's side. On the men's side's a little bit different. I think their push team this year is going to be possibly the fastest one out here. And even if they lose a little bit on that free roll, I think they may be competitive there. But this women's A team, I don't think is really going to be competing for the top. They haven't really competed for the top in the women's before, but they could prove me wrong. I mean, they have a lot of recruiting power with how big that house is.
Yeah, when you're trying to shoot for first place, you really need to put the whole thing together. Your driver's got to be driving well. You got to have solid buggies that are really, pushing the limits, shaving off weight here and there, and obviously you have to have the pushers. And I don't contest your point. I think Sigep definitely has a very strong push team, but their buggies have only recently really improved and sort of seem comparable in quality to some of these other first place finishing teams, and it's always hard to tell with the driving how you're going to get one day versus another, especially going so fast on race day.
And the one thing we have to remember is last year, Sigep B or A missed the heat. They did not make it out in time, but they had a B team, and they rolled their women's A pushers with their B team. This year, they don't have a B team. So if they miss this, that's it. Their women's team is done. So they need to make sure that they get to the course on time, even if it means maybe taking a little bit out of their prep, because they haven't added the practice time that some of the other teams have. They just got to make it to the hill. That's really what they need to do here, is make it to the hill, get some practice with their A team and their B teams today, because this is probably the most practice that they're getting all season. They only rolled truck weekend in the spring. That was it. We didn't see them much.
Yeah, I've got an interesting statistic here for you guys about Sigep. They're the only org with multiple push teams, right? So a B team or deeper, that hasn't had a pusher-related disqualification the last 4 years.
So that's transition violation.
Getting run over by a buggy.
I'm never going to live
missing
that
the push
down.
bar, stuff like that. They haven't, at least on the record, they haven't had any DQs related to that kind of stuff. So, and I think that really speaks to the strength of their, pushing teams.
We'll be seeing that get underway very soon here. Sigep A, Apex B also in there, and then CIA D. You imagine fair amount of separation between all 3 teams?
I think it's going to be fairly spread out between the teams. I think that, Apex B last year was able to make day 2 with a couple of help from some disqualifications. I think they'll be around the same time as they were last year, like low 3-minute range. I don't expect them to be super competitive. I expect CIA to fall in probably about 10 seconds behind them.
All right.
Well, Apex is going to miss their heat. That's great.
Let's see. We only have 2 buggies on the course there. It looks like Sigep A and CIA D out there. So no Apex. If I'm
Yeah, no Apex. They're not out there.
Sigep coming out, just kind of blasting it there. Gonna have a free course by and large. It's just about getting that time, get him into a day 2. Pretty strong shove right there from the 1 to the 2.
I got a 22 second at the top of the hill, which at this point in time is the fastest hill 1 I believe that we have. Deep shove there, and a little bit of a wobble off the top. Let's see how that affects her roll.
Yeah, it's really important that your hill 2 technique also incorporates what the driver's doing. If you give one of those real late shoves and the driver's already started to turn, you're not going to get a good shove. You're not going to be going straight. You get that wobble.
Now, honestly, I think that Apex B, something happened. Maybe pushers didn't show up because they didn't even put a pusher out on the hill. It's not like they looked like they were even coming out for that race. I got a 106 at the stop sign, so that puts them about 4 seconds behind Spirit.
Excellent flagging technique.
Coming through here, looking quite smooth, nothing but daylight. The moment of truth in the chute.
That's a good turn.
A very nice turn right there.
Let's see there, hill 3.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Every hill 3 so far has gotten burned.
Yep.
Every hill 3.
And CIA made up a little bit of ground, it almost looks like there. We'll see, though, how this back hill goes. Again, Sigep, really the name of the game for them is to move on to day 2, get a qualifying time, and looking to be doing fairly well, getting ready for this transition between 4 and 5. Amy Fan, the hill 5 pusher, looking to close things out.
That was really close to a transition violation there. We'll have to get some eyes on that. I have him at a 218 at the transition, which with a 30-second, that'll put him at about a 248. That'll put him behind some of the B teams. If she goes faster than 30 seconds, they'll be right in front of those B teams.
Yeah, I'm expecting about a 27, actually.
We'll see right here. Amy Fan coming across. Large Sigep contingent there to greet her. Approaching that finish line. About a 2:45 and a half. Going to be good for about second right now. CIAD still going along. Got a dress.
So I guess now they have the women's teams in a dress on the D team and the men's in
team in
suits.
suit. It only makes sense.
Works.
CIAD is still coming through right there. So Sigep, solid time there for them today. CIAD coming across at a 3:16. That's a pretty nice time out of their D team right there. Going to put them just ahead of Fringe D. But yeah, Sigep A official time of 2:45.3.
I have Fringe D officially at a 3:17, so it might put him just behind them.
So Sigep A going to jump up into second place. 7 seconds though behind Spirit A.
Now, right now, we've got Spirit A at a 238.6 first place. Second place, like we said, is Sigep, just rolled in there at about a 245. Third place would be CIA B, 247.5. Fourth place is going to be SDCC right now, 247.8, so just behind them. Fifth place is going to be Fringe B at a 251.3. Sixth place, SDC D, 301.3. Seventh, we're going to be looking at Fringe D, 317.8, and eighth place right now, CIA's team pushing in dresses.
All right, so we've got 4 heats left, Connor. Which of these teams do you think can beat a 247? Is SDCC going to make it to the second day here? I mean, all 4 of these teams in lane 1, clearly very strong. They're going to be well above a 247. But I'm not sure. Maybe Apex A is in contention there?
Apex A could be in contention. We'll have to see what's going on with their roster stuff, though. The fact that they, missed on the B team, could it be that their A team pushers didn't show up or were hurt and couldn't come out, and they're going to have some B team pushers on that A team? Can they possibly even be missing day 2 this year? So we'll see what's going on there. SAEA was very close to making day 2 last year, so let's see, what they could possibly put up. But this heat coming up here with SDCB, I expect them to beat them. CIA A and Fish A, I expect
Fish A.
both of them to beat that time that SDC put up.
Yep.
Fringe A and SDCA. So that's 5 teams that we expect now to beat that SDCC time of a 2:47, with a possibility of Apex breaking that as well. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, so that's a good point you made. Fish A is really snuck in there in lane 3. Now that they're considered to be a different org, they don't have any seeding times. This put them at the bottom of the seeding chart, and has really caused a whole hullabaloo up here in the different heats. It should be really interesting to see how that plays out.
And of course, the story with fishing, it is the fishing club, their first year ever pushing Buggy. That being said, a good number of their roster from Phi Kappa Alpha, although the official rule, I believe, is no more than half the pushers could be from that house. So, it could be a boon to them if they're able to get some outside recruiting. Obviously looked very fast last year on the women's side. So they're definitely a team to watch. Of course, coming up right here, we have SDCB and Fringe C. SDCB, always very, very competitive, up there with a lot of A teams in terms of their times.
Yeah, and the cool thing to look at for SDCB, their Hill 3 pusher was on their A team last year. So another person that got pushed down, like we were talking about with Fringe. You're also going to see 2 returning pushers. Caitlin Smith on Hill 2 is returning. She had a fairly competitive time on Hill 1 last year for SDCB. And then their Hill 5 pusher is also returning, though unfortunately their B team did not make it through the chute, so we don't have a time on how fast she could have been. But we would expect her to be pretty competitive being on SDC's B team.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. You think of your Hill 1 pusher as typically being very strong, right? A lot of upper body. Now that the previous Hill 1 is now in Hill 2, I'm looking for a real nice shove back into the free roll. That's what I'm hoping for there.
And especially with the times that they were putting up this morning, how well they were rolling, I don't expect anybody to be catching them. And I expect that their free roll will actually be a big benefit to them. I think who's ever on Hill 3, though, might want to take a look at the last couple of heats, maybe move like a parking spot or 2 up that Hill 3 line just to try to work on that pickup a little bit. It's a little bit of a tip for all the Hill 3 pushers today. Move up from where you normally are because everyone's going faster.
Yeah, we'll see. Their Hill 3 is very experienced pusher. Alex Cerny's one of SDC's push captains, actually. So
awesome.
She's going to have a whole team of people heckling her if she gets burned on this roll.
Is it the case where, because it was a warm winter, a warm spring, but it seems like these Hill 3s are a bit unprepared. Is that just race day speed, or why do you think we've seen such a rough transition into Hill 3 today?
Looking at the push teams, it's amazing to me how many of them are first-time pushers. I'm looking right now at SDC's B team for the men's side. It's completely new. There's not a single returning pusher on that team. Then you look at the women's A team, only 2 returning. Women's B team, you have 3 returning. That's one of the highest return rates of any team that's pushing this year. And then we have their A men's team. 2 of the pushers are returning, the other 3 are new. So I think a lot of them it's their first time doing Buggy. And the first time that you do this, no matter how many times you can practice it, you don't get race day. You don't really, truck weekend was so cold, the practice is not going to be exactly the same. The pushers are going to be slower on truck weekend because everything's tight, everything's, not able to get going as quickly. And then even just the roll. The colder the Buggies are, the slower they go.
Yeah, and you've given me a softball here. You're missing the big one, is that the end of the chute's been repaved. Yeah. Chute speeds this year are phenomenal. I think that's contributing a lot. When you have returning pushers, they're going to try to coach and talk through what the technique is for the newer pushers, but a lot of that isn't even relevant anymore. They're kind of eyeballing how fast these Buggies are coming through the chute, and a lot of the older pushers are going to get caught off guard. So I think maybe some bad habits might have been trained in practice. Hopefully, these pushers got out and the rolls, like you say, in the long spring practice, and made a good judgment for themselves. But I definitely don't think that being a returning Hill 3 is such a strength this year with the huge difference in the chute speeds.
getting ready here. This heat under 30 seconds to go. Heat is underway. As good looking as we are, it would be great to get a camera on the action there. Trying to call it here. The buggies coming up the hill right there. Again, SDCB in lane 1, Fringe C lane 2. SDC, pretty fair separation right there. A smooth transition into that hill
second
2.
on hill 1.
Solid transition.
It looks like we got eyes back there. Shoving into 2.
Oh, there we go.
Pretty high release.
That's a good shove.
And a lot of daylight between the two buggies.
Very interesting thing. Avarice, this is the first time it's ever rolled this high. It's never rolled B team before. I think C was the place that it maxed out. It's been very stable this year, which is awesome news because in the last couple of years, Avarice has been probably the most unstable SDC buggy. But that awesome orange paint job, I wish it was going A team.
It looks like Jumbotron down a bit, so we'll try and be a little more descriptive. They're coming around the stop sign right now. Avarice, plenty of separation coming into the first shoot flag.
I had her at a 28 on the free roll at the stop sign, which is right about where Spirit was.
And they're coming into the shoot now. Second shoot flag, begin to make the turn.
A little bit of a slide
Coming
early.
in a little
Yeah,
bit
that's
tight,
nicely
and that
done.
looks nice
Not
and smooth
perfect, but
through the
against
shoot.
it.
Going to be coming around now here towards Hill 3, making that turn. And let's see how the Hill 3 pusher is able to make the transition. The buggy coming up. And even there got smoked a little bit.
gosh.
Oh, boy.
Hill 3 pusher, Alex Semi, trying to catch up to it. That buggy is trucking right there.
55-second free roll out of their B team.
And
Yeah.
Fringe C just coming around. Transition, only one push between 3 and 4 right there. Bridget Quirk, the Hill 4 pusher, coming up right here for SDCB. Plenty of separation between them and Fringe C.
Yeah, I want to congratulate SDC here on rolling their fairings. Those are looking real sharp.
And now we're going into the transition between 4 and 5. Mega Sing for SDCB, taking it through right here, trying to get them a day 2 time.
Unfortunately, we don't have a time on it right now because we didn't have a eye on the front. But as soon as we get an update on the website at CMU Buggy, we will announce it over the loudspeaker.
SDCP coming, nearing that finish line. Mega coming across, a few feet to go. And on the push bar,
Yeah, good technique there.
she's across. Waiting here still on Fringe C coming up. Made it to Hill 5 pusher. They're Hill 5. Dominique Escandon coming through here, trying to finish things up for them with that C team time. Probably not going to get them to day 2, it's looking like. And we do have the time for SDCB. They rolled a 2:38.98. So about a third of a second slower than Spirit A. So Spirit A remains in first place, looking to get that time for Fringe C. Time being entered there. We are working through these technical difficulties there with the Jumbotron.
And also not having the clock. Normally we have the clock up there for all the fans as well. So I'm just
but
trying to get it all figured out.
We'll be announcing it for you as much as we can. Trying to give you that coverage there. Pretty nice roll out of there by SDCB. Not quite good enough for first place though.
Yeah, I think we've seen today that your pushing technique is key. It's making a huge difference here, especially in these very smooth back hills. Having that nice transition, good pickups, good shoves. It's not like you're gonna get fooled by a pothole or something right afterwards. All of the good pushing that you can do is gonna go into that time. You're gonna see that reflected there.
Sounds like a great folk song. Fooled by a pothole. a tragedy of Fru Street. Anyways. And now, it's next heat coming up, we're going to have CIA A, last year's champions, going to be coming up here.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think it's going to be a really tight, competition for the top spots here until maybe we get into the last couple heats. We'll see. Definitely the thing to watch in this next heat, though, is this race between Fish A and CIA A. Due to those seeding complications that we were talking about earlier, these two teams we expect to post some very comparable times, and they're going to be in the same heat, which will be a treat for us watching, anyways.
I mean, in any other year, this is CIA A versus Pika A, and that would never happen, especially with how competitive CIA A has been the last couple of years. So I'm surprised that it got mapped out this way. I think that it could have worked out better to have Fish A maybe in Heat 1 going up against SDCC and CIA B, having them not have to worry about any possible collisions on the course. You know, for both teams, it would have been better to try to work something out and split them up.
So let's take a look at the details here. As we're aware, Fish A's Hill 1, returning Queen of the Hill, right? Very, very good pusher. CIA, champions. On the other hand, CIA's free roll time was surprisingly better in prelims anyways than Fish's free roll time. There could be some serious shenanigans going on in this heat, especially Pike's Hill 2 is returning. Fish's women's Hill 2 is returning. She wasn't really fantastic, but experience counts a lot on Hill 2. We'll see how that plays out. There could definitely be some, close buggies in the beginning there.
And Fish's Hill 2 last year, just to clarify on what Mike was saying, the reason why she was a little bit slower on Hill 2 was because her transition was just, frankly, she got burned on it. She didn't really know where she needed to be. She had to stop, wait for the buggy to roll. It really slowed her down. Day 2, she was a lot better. She definitely got that smoothed out a little bit, had a better transition, and it helped her out on Hill 2. With CIA, their Hill 2 from last year is going to be pushing on Hill 1 instead, and their Hill 2 pushed a team about 2 years ago and put up, I believe, the fastest time of any Hill 2 pusher to get the buggy from the transition all the way down to the start line for the free roll, the crosswalk. So they're going to be competitive at the top of the hill. I believe CIA will make it over the top of the hill first because of their Hill 2 pusher. I think that Pike is going to be in the lead on Hill 1. CIA will pass them on Hill 2 into the free roll, and then we're going to have to see. The new buggy for Pika, Queen of the Banshees, because I can't pronounce the actual name here. Let's see how fast it is. It hasn't rolled a race day before, but if it's anything like Banshee, it's going to be fast.
And do you know, does Fish's driver, does she have experience in there? Both these drivers, are they experienced? Because I think that might be key if there is a chance for a pass.
Amy Hung for CIA has been involved in multiple heats that needed passing. She is a senior driver this year. She's driven A-Team now. This, I believe, is her third year driving an A-Team buggy. She's also driving in the same buggy she drove in race day last year, which is great for the driver. They're very comfortable with the dynamics of the buggy. They know what they need to do to make good turns and keep themselves paced behind other buggies. The driver for Fish has driven for Pika last year, I believe was her first year. It had a pretty good race day. Didn't really have too many issues. Made it through the chute without any problems. Didn't have any spins. A couple of little fishtails here and there, but overall, very solid driver.
So it should be an exciting one. We're coming up to the end here of the women's heats on this race day. 2 more heats after this one. AEPI A also rolling in this heat. Would be remiss not to mention them. But the real story here, CIA Fishing Club A. Who can be the first to get over the hill? What's that going to look like in the free roll? Both of these teams looking for day 2, but not just looking for day 2. We're looking to be on that podium and potentially win. You know, CIA chance of a repeat. The Fish Club, after all the turmoil, looking to get on the podium and really rolled pretty well last year.
Yeah, after those phenomenal back hills from Spirit, I think it'll be a high bar for these two teams, but I think they're going for first and second so far in the races.
I honestly didn't believe Spirit was going to be a 238. It's going to be interesting to see where CIA falls in line here. I think that that's going to be very tight.
you know, it could be a very deliberate shift in their pushing strategy, right? So if you, you know, have some very fast pushers, you put them on the front hills, you're going to gain that speed a little bit through the free roll, right? If you're concerned about your drivers a bit, maybe you put those pushers on the back hill, take that extra time there, and really power out, you know, a little bit extra.
Absolutely. And just looking at Spirit's time from the last couple of years, they've really gone back and forth in their strategies. They've had certain years where they stack the front hills. They've had other years where they kind of stack the back hills more than they stack the front hills. Last year, they stacked their front hills. This year, they seem to be going back to stacking their back hills. Their front hills weren't super competitive. They were about 4 or 5 seconds behind where we saw, I believe it was SDC, CIA.
Here we are.
We have CIA A, lane 1, Fish A, lane 3. The key right here, who can get over the hill faster? Fish A coming out real fast in hill 1, but CIA A right there with her.
It's going to be a little lane advantage here in lane 1, so it's dead even.
Transition pretty much simultaneous now.
Like
CIA.
I said, Pike up over the top, but here comes CIA.
Gets that push. Not a huge shove, but fairly deep there. Maybe 4 or 5 buggy lengths between the two squads.
All right, so let's see how Queen of the Banshees comes up towards Equinox.
Yeah, let's see. This is
Like,
their
CIA really separating there. I'm not sure, maybe Fishing Club didn't get the best shove right there, but it looks like CIA's added a few buggy lengths from where they had started out.
Yeah, I would normally say there's plenty more fish in the sea, but this is their only team, so hopefully they can make this run good.
And here's that strange transition that they do out to the middle of the road. Now, I had CIA at about a 27 at the stop sign, which is the fastest free roll that we've seen so
27?
far.
57?
27 for
yeah,
the
yeah.
free roll.
Yeah. And both squads, very nice shoot turn right there. Let's see what happens here on the hill 3.
Whoop.
CIA.
Burned. Every
Yeah.
heat.
Every
And I got them at a 54 for their free roll, which would be the fastest free roll by about a second over that SDCB team.
A-Pie makes it through the chute clean as well. Looks like Fishing Club making up a bit of space right here on the back hill. Maybe they caught that hill 3 a little bit better. Buggies much closer than they were coming out of those chute turns. Still CIAA in the front. It's going to be up to their hills 4 and 5 to hold on here.
Yeah, these teams caught do better, but they're going to put up some pretty competitive times here.
Catherine Luo.
I'm going to run over real quick and try to get the time off the clock. Hold on.
Pushing through right there. Coming for CIAA. Again, we're trying to get this time here. Connor will be able to give that to us. Very important. Get the hand on the push bar. Going across right there. And CIA really separated over those back hills.
Connor's unofficial time here, 2:34. It brings Fish in probably past a 2:40. Somewhat disappointing for them, honestly, but still might be good enough to make day 2. We'll see.
A-Pie.
Now, we got to give a shout out to CIA. If they are in at a 2:34, like I believe they are, that's another team record set today. And they just set that record last year. And they broke it twice last year. They broke it once already today. Let's see if they can break it again tomorrow.
Let's see. It looks like they're inputting the official time right now. Pretty nice heat right there from CIA. Nothing flashy, but a very, very good time. Yeah, I give them a 2:34.35. That's going to move them into first place. Spirit A in second place. SDCB third place. Sigep A fourth. CIA.
Where was Fishing
fifth.
Club?
Fishing Club looking to have them input the score right now. That's a good point. They'll probably jump up there as well. Let's see if they were sub 240 or over.
Yeah, so 2:34 for CIA. That's
They
good.
gave Fishing Club got a 245.685. That puts them behind Sigep A
Wow.
by about a third of a second. That would put them right now,
Fourth.
fourth or fifth there. Updating the leaderboard right there. So CIA last year's champs, jumping into first place, but not an overwhelming time that your Fringe A or your SDCA isn't thinking they can't be in that top spot heading into tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's really setting the bar. They did a good job there. It's an excellent time. However, the winning times from 2013, 2014 were both lower in the 230s. I'm hoping that they can drop a few more seconds off for finals. That usually happens.
Yeah.
But
And their Hill 3 pickup wasn't great, so they could take some time there. And I don't think their transitions were as clean as we've seen them in years past. So I believe they have some time in there they could take off.
yeah, but it's looking to be a competitive race.
Fringe A going to be really the team to watch here in this next heat. Fringe, it's been an interesting few years with them. Up and down, up and down. Have a lot of the elements you like to see in a team, but just not quite putting things together. What do you think we see from them today?
Well, their women's team has been steadily competitive, but I believe their women's team, even though their men's team is coming up, I think their women's team is falling off slightly. I don't think that they're going to be way out of it, but I don't see them competing with CIA for that top spot. I think that they'll probably fall in somewhere between Spirit. SDCB is so close to Spirit. Between SDCB and Sigep, somewhere between that 238 and that 245 range.
Yeah, I agree. Fringe really has a strong free roll. Their buggy's a little bit faster than you might expect for their push times in the front hills. And that really, can play to their advantage when you have a year when all of the pushers are slow. But I think this year, with the improved push teams, that's really going to fall a little short of that kind of first place mark that CIA set.
Just give you an update on the leaderboard now that we have the times in. First place after that heat, CIA 234.35. Second place, Spirit A 238.67. Third place, SDCB 238.98. Fourth place, Sigep A 245.31. Fifth place, Fishing Club A 245.685. Sixth place, CIAB 247.5. Seventh place, SDCC. Eighth place, Fringe B. Ninth place, SDCD. 10th place, Fringe C. 11th place, AE Pi A. And last place, Fringe D. 12th.
Interesting statistic. CIA is the only women's team with a 5-year pusher.
Wow. Masters or?
I don't know, but
I don't know.
one of their
I don't
returning
know how deep
pushers
your
is-
scouting goes. You keep
Sophie
pulling these
Zimmerman on
facts
Hill
out.
1,
Yeah.
finishing up a master's degree.
Yeah, so that it's kind of a outlier statistic there, but I believe the implication. CIA is a very dedicated push team. They also have a very strong retention program in their pushes, and you can see that with all these returning pushers in both the men's and the women's team.
And Sophie may be one of the most dedicated pushers out here on the course. She puts in more work than anybody on that team for sure. And started off her freshman year on Hill 5, switched over last year to Hill 2, and now this year she's on Hill 1, and really held her own there with a Queen of the Hill pusher. So that's very impressive there. Got to give props to Sophie. Definitely works as hard as she can to keep herself fast, in shape, and ready to get these buggies up the hill as quick as possible.
Get set here, the three teams, all three A teams. Obviously, you expect Fringe A to be a fair bit of separation. It's Fringe A in lane 1, SAEA in lane 2, Phi Delta A in lane 3. How do you think things shake out between SAEA and Phi Delta A?
I think SAE is going to put up the better time here. They have, a more experienced organization, I guess. They've been actually consistently performing extremely well for a one-push team org. They've got only the men's and the women's A teams. So yeah, I'd expect them to be maybe 10, 15 seconds ahead of Phi Delta. On the other hand, Phi Delta, unknown factor, right? We haven't seen these pushers before, so who knows?
The thing that I like about Fidel for this year is they haven't gotten discouraged. They were working on a build throughout the year. They weren't able to get it done this year, but when they realized that they were running out of time, they said, you know what, we're going to hold off on the build. Let's just wait on it, and we're going to put all of our time and effort into Perrin, the buggy that they're renting from a KDR alumni, to get this thing as fast as possible. So they put some time in, worked on some things inside the buggy, and they've actually dropped 12 seconds off of their free roll from what they were seeing before. Now, their free roll time, their best one they've seen so far is about a 102, which is not the most competitive free roll out there, but compared to what they were doing before, 12 seconds is going to be a big, help for them on the hills.
Yeah, well, a 102 is better than what SAE had last year, but hard to compare. You don't know who's giving the shove off there at the top of the hill. But,
And just for some comparison, the fastest time we've seen today was a 54 out of CIA on that last heat.
Waiting for the teams to take teams are taking the course. I believe at this time we're about under a minute here to get underway. The penultimate heat of women's qualification. And not to jinx things, but it's been a very clean day so far, and it's great to see that with with this repaved course.
They
Here we go. Fringe A looking to secure a spot on day 2. Fidel A coming out with a pretty nice hill 1 there, though. Fringe A just starting to get some separation there. Fidel ahead of SAE here through hill 1 at least.
I've got a 23-second for Fringe on hill 1. That's about the same as Spirit was at.
Coming through here to the hill 2.
Very impressed with Fidel, though. I think they're going to come in second in this heat, which is great.
Pretty smooth shove right there in the hill 2. Yeah, Fidel, very nice there.
Got 36 seconds going into the free roll for Fringe there, which is right about the same as where Spirit was. Not the fastest time we've seen getting into the free roll yet.
Yeah, like I said though, one of Fringe's strengths is definitely the free roll. So I expect him to pick up some time here, especially in this pre-stop sign.
Yeah, and Beast was a very fast buggy. It was designed and built by Josh Hickson back in 2012. It's his baby. He loves that buggy. But it's very fast, and it's lasted a lot longer than Bonsai did, which is very good for them to have a buggy this fast. It's also lasted this long. So
this is coming into the chute here.
very nice, very clean shoe turn.
Oh, very clean turn. Might be the best turn we've seen today.
Jilly's a 4-year driver, and she's been in this buggy now for a couple of years.
Oh,
See hill 3 right here.
Turned again.
Wow, these buggies are coming through with speed.
And look at Fidel. Look at how close they are to Fringe A.
yeah, you can see. If I had to take a guess, Fidel's running on some of those wheels that Fringe really turned it around with in 2011. Those are very competitive.
Fringe getting some good separation here, though, on the back hill. This is where, an experienced deep A team definitely helps you with their hill 4 coming here.
So we're coming up here into the transition zone right about a 208. Michaela, she's pretty fast. I'm expecting about a 26, 27 out of her. That'll put them right about that 47 range that we see those other B teams at, the CIA and then SDCC team too.
Let's see right here what we'll get with this unofficial time. Michaela trucking it up here. Trying to get across that line, make sure Fringe A gets a day 2 time. Again, the next to final race gets the hand on that push bar there.
Got them at a 236, so faster than Spirit, but
Wow.
2 seconds. I screwed up
Unofficial
my math
time there.
earlier, that's what I did. I
2:30.
did a 37 instead of a 27.
2:36, very nice time out of them. Probably not going to get them over CIA, but might bump them into second place. Fido coming across there. Very respectable race out of them. A young team, obviously, but a nice roll, really nice kind of front hills by Fido.
And I got a 304 there for SAE as well, so that's pretty similar to the time that they put up last year, which got them to day 2, but just with how fast we've been this year, it's not going to be a day 2 time.
Yeah, we're giving Fringe a 236.964, so that's going to move them into second place behind CIAA
You know what, but definitely more competitive than I expected out of Fringe. I thought that they were going to be a little bit slower this year than they've been in years past. So for them to put up a time that was faster than last year, with the amount of pushers they graduated, that's a brand new team except for Michaela on Hill 5. So really, really impressed with Fringe right now.
Fidel A going sub 3. They were at a 2:56.
Wow, good for
which
them.
is
That's another team record.
yeah.
Though their record is a 5 minute, so it wouldn't have been too hard to break that, but it's another team record there.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see here. It's really up to SDC to set the tone going into finals. You know, if they come in with a little over a 2:30, it's going to be very close. Finals will be very interesting. All of the different transitions are going to matter a lot for the placement. On the other hand, you know, they could come in below a sub 2:30 and really just take it away.
Looking at SDC's roster for this year, they've got a new pusher on Hill 1. Their Hill 2 pusher was their Hill 5 last year, and she was only about a half second off of the best Hill 5 time of the day. So that means that they've got to have 3 other pushers on longer hills who are faster than her. That makes me very excited for the time we're going to see them put up.
Yeah, me too.
We'll be taking a look at that with them here. Again, the final heat of the women's qualifications here. Someone's having a birthday here. This is the final heat of the women's qualification. SDCA, Apex A, CIA C. Then we'll have a little bit of a break. We'll get into the men's races, men's qualification coming up right after this. Overall, though, it's been a nice day. Very clean, very fast. As you mentioned, just about everybody's setting the team record, it sounds like, out there by and large, which is good to see. We like to see this. Beautiful day out here. You know, the first race day of good weather. 2 straight days of good weather and forever since 2010.
Yeah, I think the good weather earlier in the spring is really paying off. This is some fantastic driving. You might put it a little bit on the course, but I really think that going faster, it just is going to make it more challenging for the drivers. So I've been very impressed with the driving this year.
And I think last year, it was obvious which teams had the most experience through the chutes. CIA was clean. All of their drivers were taking the same lines. And SDC every year has very good drivers. But their drivers last year were mostly new. Jing was the only one, their A-team driver, who was returning. This year, SDC's A and B team are returning drivers. We have Anna Black, who's going to be driving for them. She had a great save last year on that first race when the roads were soaking wet, and she was able to get through there. And then we have, Elizabeth G on their B team, who had a rough race day last year, but recovered nicely this year. And you really can't tell this year which drivers have more experience than the others. They all look great.
Well, they all have a lot of experience, that's for sure, from that really, frankly, extremely long spring practice. They were out here in February, I think, a couple times, and it's really paid off so far.
2:34.349, the time to beat. That CIA's in the top spot. And also kind of, the subplot here. Apex A, are they able to make it to day 2?
Are they able to make it to the hill? Because let me tell you something. I don't see Apex pushers anywhere.
Interesting. Huh. Storyline to watch there. We also have, then finally rounding it out, CIAC going to be coming there. Standings as they are now, again, just running through the top 10. CIA A in first, Fringe A in second, Spirit A in third, SDC B in fourth, Sigep A in fifth, Fish A in sixth, CIA B in seventh, SDC C in eighth, Fringe B in ninth, and Fidel A in 10th. Again, top 8 teams qualify, so SDC C holding on to that last spot right now. You imagine A will bump them out. We'll see. Looks like Apex did make it to the course.
Good.
Yeah, we do have Apex A. So we'll see how many teams are knocked out. Again, if the race were to end right now, CIA A, Fringe A, Spirit A, SDC B, Sigep A, Fish A, CIA B, and SDC C are moving on to day 2.
SDCC, I think, is going to get knocked out by their own team.
Yep.
We're going to have to see what happens with Apex here. And then that would leave, who's at the bottom again?
That would put CIA B out there
That
at
would,
7.
yeah. So it's going to,
And if that would happen, Fish A would be the 8th qualifying team. That's wild.
Yeah, hopefully they can, use the cheetah blood, get some good night's rest, come back the next day and really, make a better impression.
That is true, but that could be a very interesting matchup there. That would put, if some Apex qualify and
Apex may qualify 8th. They
yeah.
may just slide
Yeah.
in there.
But that would be, you would see Fish A and CIA again. Either way, though, you may have a Fish A and a Fringe A, a Fish A and a Spirit A, depending on how these things shake out. Those are all going to be pretty interesting races there.
If they got into that race with Spirit A, if they set that up, then we're going to be looking at Fish first into the free roll, with Spirit on their new wheels and rolling faster, and then potentially passing them on the back hills. So that could be a really interesting matchup. I kind of like to see that happen.
All, of course, depends on this race. Nothing can be taken for granted on race day. It's been clean so far, but obviously you want to see SDCA make it through. Apex A, how they can shake things up, maybe get a day 2 time.
Now, the challenges for Apex A this year, number one, they have a buggy in Ember that is very unreliable. It's had a lot of issues over the years. Second thing, brand new driver. She's a first-year driver on the team, and she's going in and driving A team. So we're going to have to see how that goes. And then what's going on with their roster? They're, B team. Did they have to pull people up to their A team?
Here we go.
And
So we got about 30 seconds before things get underway here.
what is Apex doing?
See Apex getting their buggy to the course still. See if they get it down in time. Got to be close.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
All right. They just looked lost there for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. The final women's preliminary heat here, Raceday 2016. Apex, solid start right there in lane 2, but SDC starting to separate, show them why they're one of the top 8 teams out there.
This girl is a monster. I got her right at a 20. And I got Apex at about a 22.
And they're just flying from that 1 to 2 transition right there. A lot of separation
Great
being made.
show.
Very early, gets the buggy rolling. I got him at a 32. That's 4 seconds ahead of Fringe was. And I got Apex at a 36, which is right up there with Spirit. And I believe we saw Fringe's B team there as well.
SDC just rolling super clean right there in the free roll. Lot of daylight between the two of them. This is looking to be a pretty nice run so far from SDC.
Yeah, no, Ember just has fallen way behind. SDCA is way ahead of them.
Seeing things, and then CIAC, a lot of separation there. SDCA coming
Rolling
into that
up.
shoot turn.
Taking the shoot flag. Very smooth entry. Nice turn. Solid. Very good turn. Probably top.
Really nice turn right there by SDCA. Coming in, and now this is key. Can SDC get the Hill 3 transition right? Wow, Apex A very tight in the shoot.
All right. Well, she made it, right?
No, we missed to see if the SDCA got burned or not.
Oh.
It would have been our first Hill 3 that didn't get burned.
3 to
Well,
4
Apex didn't
transition
get
come
burned,
through.
that's for
There we
sure.
go.
Actually, guys on the SDC Hill 3 pickup, she actually was ahead of it.
Hill 4 blasting through right there, and it sounds like SDC was actually a little bit ahead of the Hill 3. Maybe got a little bit in their heads, us talking about them getting burned. And now the transition 4 to 5.
SDCA is at a 2 minute at that. They're going to have probably about a 25-second Hill 5. It's going to put them at about a 2:25. So they're going to be 9 seconds up on CIA. Not even close.
We'll
Back
take
to
a
the
look right
dominance
here.
we expect.
Yeah, they are smoking it on this run. Really smooth on everything. I guess a little bit of choppiness there on that Hill 3 pickup. But not going to matter too much right here. Get the hand on the push bar. 226 unofficially, and she's kind of coasted at the end.
Blazing.
Now this Apex pusher has got to run. She's coming up on that window. They need to be at a 47, and I just don't think that she's got enough time to make it to day 2.
Let's see right here on an unofficial timer. We just crossed 247 right there. She's going to get over at about a 249. Again, these times unofficial. We will confirm that. That would put Apex just outside of day 2.
Now, STC here, they're going to be studying that footage so hard tonight. They just got a few seconds to shave off. It's very hard to, just collect the talent that you need.
Let's see right here. CIA coming across at about a 313. Let's see if we have some times coming through. SDCA going to be put in at a 226.6. Very clearly in first place, about 8 seconds ahead of CIAA.
Now, technically, that's a record as well for Apex's A team.
Apex A got a 249.7, so they're just outside of that top 10. That's going to put them in 9th place right there. Pretty nice race day coming out there, though. Nothing too unexpected. I think maybe besides how good SDC looked there. I think we thought, they'd be in the conversation for the top, but 8 seconds faster than CIA?
I mean, this is a very good push team. Like Connor said, he's got some returning pushers and a downgrade, right? They were pretty fast last year. Yeah, I'm not that surprised. I think they can actually, shave 1 or 2 more seconds off. I don't know about that 3rd second. That's going to be the hard one, but hopefully I'll take 1 or 2 more off for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a great time to see. It's not great for the sport for SDC to be dominating again. I think people get more interested when it's a little bit closer, but the other team's got to step their game up, man. If SDC is going out there and doing this and, just hitting everything perfectly and getting their pushers this fast and building their buggies this good, the other team's got to step up.
So we'll run through the standings once more. I don't believe there are any re-rolls, which
Clean
is
driving.
pretty unheard of. Yeah, really nice, really clean day. Congrats to all the teams out there. Very well raced. Prelims. Tomorrow is for all the marbles. The teams competing for those marbles are in first place with a 226.6 SDCA. Second place with a 234.35 CIAA. In third place with a 236.96 Fringe A. Fourth place, Spirit A with a 238.67. Fifth place, SDCB with a 238.98. Sixth place, Sigep A with a 245.3. Seventh place, Fish A with a 245.69. And eighth place, CIA B, 247.5.
Hey guys, this is Mark in the chute. Finally got connectivity here. Just a recap of all the turns. Top 8, all very smooth. I would say the turn of the day was probably out of Sigep, although the SDCA was very nice. Back to you.
Thank you, Mark. I think we're still sorting out that. I'm not sure if that actually went over the loudspeaker. We do have Mark Estes, the man in the chute, going to be bringing us coverage there. Guys, what jumps out to you, though, matchups for tomorrow you're interested in seeing from that top 8?
Let me pull this up real quick so I can get you...
I mean, that whole pile-up, 2nd through 4th or 5th or so, that's going to be very close. Hold on a second.
So I think the most interesting thing that we're going to see here, there's this nice gap here in the middle where SDCB and Sigep A, we went from a 38 to a 45. So there's a nice gap there in the middle where there's going to be in the finals one team that's faster than the other team, and there's not going to be too much of interference there. There may be a little bit on the front hills, but for the most part, everything should be pretty clean through the day because of that nice gap where SDCB was at a 38, and then Sigep A is the next team, 245.3.
Yeah, we've received a little bit of help here from my friends on the sideline. It looks like that I have the women's record wrong. The women's record is only 2:25.6.
And what did they just put up?
A 226.56.
Only a second off.
That's that's very exciting. So we got the leaderboard up here. Obviously, you know the story there. SDC looking to shave off that 1 and a little bit seconds. You know, maybe coming from that hill 3, and then there's a whole competition here 2 through 5.
Yep. Also exciting stuff right here. Just a moment, Uber, one of their mapping cars, is going to be taking the course, so take a look out for that. I got some folks over at Uber here if you want to chat with them. Lots of exciting stuff. They're over here by the broadcast booth. But that car, mapping car, will be taking the course in just a few minutes here. So let's go ahead and get some final thoughts here on the women's race this morning. What we're looking forward to tomorrow. We'll take a little bit of a break. Come back with some men's coverage, some exhibitions.
There's going to be a really close race there in the middle between Spirit A and SDC B. We'll be interested to see during the heat selection for finals tonight if they move that around. Fringe A, I think, may have a second or two in there, so they're going to be right up there with CIA for second place. Spirit A, let's see if they can get anything more out of their time, maybe move up a spot or two. But SDCA is there. The only thing that we're going to be watching for tomorrow in the women's to see who's going to win it is, will they set a record? And that's the only thing that we're really looking for at the top of the order there. 2 through 5 could mix around a little bit depending on how people finish up. Sigep A, Fish A, CIA B, there may be some fights in there for that 6th, 7th, and 8th place spot. CIA B, can they come up and maybe even get ahead of a Fish A or a Sigep A? And can Sigep A maintain that lead just a little bit over Fish A and, you know, stay there in that top 6?
Should be exciting stuff.
Comments are, you know, you look at 2 through 5.
Yeah, so
and that's all about
should be really
the pickup
interesting
on
here.
Hill 3.
Hopefully, we'll have to see if Fish can improve that time. You know, the battle of the fraternities here is going to be very good.
All right, and let's see if we get some final thoughts from Mark.
Hey guys, my take is 2 through 5 up for grabs based on the shoot pickup on Hill 3. So we had a lot of girls get blown away. If somebody nails it, they're picking up easily 2 seconds, and they will separate from the crowd. And I think SDCA has the record in them with a good Hill 3 pickup. End of chat. Thanks.
All right, so we're going to take a little bit of break here on WRCT, CMU TV. We'll have that coverage coming back for you in just a little bit. So yeah, we'll take a little break here. We'll rejoin you very soon. Finish up this coverage here on WRCT Pittsburgh and CMU TV. You'll be back tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'm in all day tomorrow. But, Darcy.
Yeah.
Have my stopwatch.
Yeah. Is there enough time to go to the bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
No, we got that.
Hello, this is Mark. Hey, welcome everyone to Buggy 2016. Mark Estes broadcasting from the chute in beautiful Shinley Park. A sunny day, buggies are rolling, life could not be better.
Okay, do you have the sweepstakes schedule? You go to they have like a live updating schedule, like with the delays. They have a Google Doc.
Where's that?
You go to tinyurl dot, and then I wrote it down somewhere. Tinyurl, and then I'll read it out to you. So tinyurl.com/this.
Wait, tiny?
It's like a link short. tinyurl.com/HDNR4S. That's the live updated So this has got all the delays built into it too. So it looks like
Max is 10:05. Alright, so we got 6 minutes.
I gotta rearrange my stats a little bit.
Okay.
I haven't had any need for the rules. They're just on the ground. So we gotta tell Will when he comes back. give you some stats that you can be in charge of.
Okay, I got my stats.
Nenhuma, fofo muni, nenhuma, novio muni, nenhuma, eflon muni, nenhuma, dadon muni. Ye pou mlano suma. Ulanose, 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 ulanose.
Last year's time split by hill. This is super useful. This is my heat guide. It's highlighted. The darker the color, the more dangerous the heat. Yeah, so we got that. I've got fun facts. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Question. All right. Am I allowed to call? So we had a name for the buggy, and it was called Big Buggy after the brother's name was Dick. We named a buggy after the mechanic. So his name was Dick Barber. So we called it Dick Buggy. Is that appropriate to say on the air? Or do you want me not to? Fair enough. That's. What are they gonna yell at me for? Exactly. Yeah. All right. All right. Solid. Time broadcast like this.
This is how I'm broadcasting. This is how I'm broadcasting. going.
All right, looks like there's a grudge match in the making. The buggies are on the bottom of Hill 1, lined up and ready to go. And there's the women's leaderboard graphic. And they're off. Lane 2 getting a nice lead. That would be the Fish, or Pika, as they might be known. Being followed by Sigma
Hey
Nu.
everyone, what's going
You
on?
may know
Welcome
them.
back
No,
to
that's
CA
not-
Buggy.
That is Sigma Nu. You may know them as Sigma Nu or the Zoo, but
We got,
National knows
it's-
them as the Delta Sigma chapter of Sigma
Grudge
Nu.
match
They're
going on. We got a little
celebrating
bit of carnage
100
there on Hill
years
2.
of being
And
a zoo.
into the bush, it looks like Pika, or are they pushing as Pika
No,
or
they're
Fish? The
Pika.
alums. These are Pika. We're allowed to. Okay, cool.
Now, with that was the guy who fell, I think, was a Pika alumni. But what's happening here is this is just a fun little match between really 3 rivals of the Buggy or conglomerate that what has been over the past over 100 years. With Pika, Spirit, and Sigma Nu all really defining what Buggy teams ought to be. They've gone anywhere from teams that were doing, moderate times to making breakthroughs with technology, build technology, wheel technology, and things of that nature.
All right, Fish made it through the chute. Sigma Nu making it through.
Now, with that,
A little bit of a tail bob, but they're
is-
through again.
you have teams like this that you have alumni that are coming back every year. The best part about that is every one of these pushers will come back every year and say, like, oh, we want to do a grudge match, which is great because it shows the spirit of Buggy actually never dies. Would you say the same thing, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to keep your alumni involved. Really, it helps create a sense of community on your team. To see that, hey, you got guys from 2004 still coming back to the races. If you're a new pusher, a new mechanic on that team, you see those people coming back, you're like, wow, this is a good team to stick with. This is a family, a community, a bunch of good friends. I can make lasting relationships here. So yeah, it's definitely very important for the alumni to stay involved.
And as we're looking at this grudge match, I think we have a time to talk about something that rarely people realize, is that the teams themselves are like little families. We have fraternities, we have sororities on campus, and then of course we have the independents. But the teams themselves are so close. But we also talk about the companionship of the Buggy people that are out there. Everyone else that on the course that does that are here just to support the teams don't really know what us Buggy folk have to really go through on the weekends. I mean, mechanics are getting up at 4 in the morning just so they can be out and prepare for the rolls, making sure everything's good to go, making sure brakes are working. It's a lot of work, and I think you'll attest to this, that every single morning we're all kind of bonding over that. I mean, even though we're a part of different teams, we bond over that that experience. So Buggy people initially just stick together as a group in of themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a healthy competition.
Yeah.
And pretty solid times, honestly, shown out in the grudge match there. Excuse me. But we're about to get into the real stuff here. Women's prelims, very clean. Some nice races, some good racing. Nothing too wild. Almost the opposite of last year. Save for SDC's near record time. Everything kind of went according to plan there. What do you guys expect to see out of the men's races coming up here?
Oh, wow. A lot. That being said, we talked about on the Wednesday night broadcast, Will, you were there, and we were talking about how teams who normally have fantastic times were not really as consistent coming out to rolls every weekend. For instance, like Sigep was sparsely out on the course. But the thing about Sigep is they've got returning pushers on 18. They've got returning fast buggies, especially with Kraken. They have experienced drivers. They have experienced alumni who are willing to, come back with their experience and tell them like how to properly go about forming a perfect team on race day. So even though they don't come out every weekend, what you're seeing is a huge potential from them. So they're gonna surprise people just because the people on the course haven't seen them out and haven't seen that. With SDC, you have 4 teams that are honestly could probably pull out sub 215s on all 4 of them. That's gonna be something to see. I'm really excited to see what Spirit does with their A team this year. They've overcome a lot of their adversities with mechanicking issues, getting disqualified for, like, in my opinion, crappy reasons. Transition DQs and the 5-second roll down start line. So them becoming a little bit more rigid, we're going to see a lot from them. I'm really excited to see Fringe. I think Fringe is rebuilt, and they're going to be the team that we saw when Bonsai and Bisa were out, the 2011-2012 years. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do, and really excited to see what their new buggy is. Was it Ballas?
Ozon, I think.
Oh. They can come up with different names. Come on.
It starts with a V,
It does, yeah.
Physics reference, I like that.
Yeah.
I think, in the men's heats, we're looking at possibly a much more competitive race. We've seen historically SDC's women's times are sort of a cut above the rest. There's probably something going on there. I don't know. But in the men's times, Fringe is put down 204. Pike is put down 204.
Yeah.
These are, top tier, no, qualifications about it, top tier times. I think for me, what I'm most curious about is Fish's men's A team going to disappoint in the same way that their women's team did? We had very high expectations for the women's team coming. And I think there's a really interesting story there. Now that their fishing team, right, they have 50% of their push team is not from the fraternity.
Correct.
That's allowed, I guess. And so they've recruited a couple of football players and a track team guy.
Fun fact.
And,
Now, that being said, I know, Mike, we're just fixing with your mic. I think they're returning Hill 1 was King of the Hill last year. Is that correct?
Right, yeah, so I do have high expectations for Fish A men's. But we'll see how that carries out. Some other teams I'm on the lookout for, like you said, Fringe A men's, they have a lot of returning pushers, and also I think a demotion. One of their 18 pushers from last year has been bumped down to B team, and so that's a very strong sign of competitiveness. And then, Sigep, as usual, good to look out for. SDC, probably going to post a pretty fast time. CIA, we'll see. I'm not sure there. I mean, they also have a lot of fast returning pushers, but they haven't hit those, 204, 205 times yet. I really do think there's it's a big jump. And I think they're capable of it, and maybe they will make it this year, but they haven't shown that capability quite yet, so I'm a little bit more skeptical. Spirit A, very interesting to watch, I'm sure. They're also capable, but who knows, what the free roll is going to look like this time around.
Right. Now, Will, we talked about you're looking for teams that are going to really succeed and come out of the pack. I think the pack leaders are going to be the teams who have practiced those transitions well. The relationship between a Hill 4 and a Hill 5, that transition, being able to complement the pusher behind you is very key in dropping half seconds and sometimes full seconds off your time. So the teams like the veterans, Sigep, Pika, Fishing, Fringe, Spirit, you're going to see those teams who they know that those little things matter, and that's going to really make a difference. Because a lot of them, like Mike said, they're going to come out with good times. What's going to really make up better times are going to be the transitions and the minor decision making. So we'll see what happens.
And I think when you take some of the weather element out of it of past years and the course issue element out of it of past years, it really does come down a lot more to kind of the minutia of execution. One would think. Excuse me. Wow. I no. This is the end for me. SDCC getting their buggy on the course. Kind of interesting. This heat was actually split up. They were thinking things would be too close. So SDCC in this first heat rolling a low. Didn't quite get the mic there at the start.
Yeah.
But what's it like pushing like this when it's just you and the course?
Now, I mean, as far as I can speak as a pusher from way back when, having to push by yourself, I think, is something that's detrimental. Having someone to race against kind of adds the adrenaline. It makes you push a little bit faster. I think pushing by yourself is safer for the drivers. I don't think with SDC C team is going to make that much more of a difference. I think you're going to see a time comparable to what you would have saw them with compared to racing as a team. But what you're going to see here is their makeup time isn't necessarily the pushers as much as their
Free roll. Pretty nice hill 1-2 there, though. Everything looks smooth, nice shove. And this is one of those teams could move on to day 2. You never know. SDC so deep, a 57-second stop sign time there.
Yeah.
For a C team, pretty nice.
For a C team, it's good.
Right. SDC
For
coming to the
SDC,
shoot, rolling nice.
what you're seeing is more
Picking up the
of
shoot flag.
a standard.
Ooh,
It's become a
a
standard.
little bit of a
for
bobble
SDC to hit
early.
that. It's become
moved
a
it out.
standard.
Little
for them
slide,
to hit
but
below 215.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think
Heading up
that's a
to hill
standard they've
3,
set for
checking the
themselves and they've set
rollout.
for the course, because if you want to stay at top of the leaderboard, you're not going to have mechanics like Mike Darcy who are going to put up with
Pretty good
a
pickup.
216. It's like, no, we can do better. We know we can do better.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy there in the chute. Looks like they lost some momentum there.
Mm-hmm.
Things really kind of slowing down here on the back hills. Coming
Yes,
here now,
solid
transition
technique.
to 4.
Yeah.
And it's just a testament to kind of the organization SDC builds, where great athletes even here, on these back hills, on a C team, picking up a lot of time after the buggy had slowed fairly significantly.
Now, as we can see with the transitions, we talked about that relationship before about Hill 4 being able to time how quick his Hill 3 is going to be. Hill 5 being able to time how the push from his Hill 4. So SDC definitely has it down pat. They've got their
Looking at
their
Grudge
regimen.
right here at about a 219.4 is how they're going to score it there.
That's
solid
very
time
fast.
to start out.
Right.
That's SDCC's fastest time, at least since 2012.
Pretty uneventful start right there, SDCC. Michael, what's that time look like in context of history, past race days and all that?
Well, let's see there. What'd you say it was? We lost it.
It was about a 219.
219 about.
So, 219s, I mean, it's decent. It might be good enough to make the second day. It'll be very hard to say. With only one heat gone so far, who knows if we're going to see the same improvement that we saw in the women's time, which was phenomenal. Really back to the trend, right? Teams should get a little faster every year as your technology improves. Last year was a huge setback, but we're really back on the horse in terms of sweepstakes as a whole there for the women. For the men, if everything falls in line, then yeah, this could be a part of that story. This is definitely a solid time, but it's questionable whether it'll make it to the second day.
Next heat coming up, Spirit D and Fringe D. Spirit D, definitely a dangerous team. In the sense of potentially can make it to the second day. Anytime you have pushers like they do, it gives you an opportunity to make things interesting. Obviously, their women's B team did not make it through the chute. Looked like the buggy was fine, though. What do you expect going into this race?
If it's the same driver, sometimes with driver mentality, you can see things like hesitation, where they don't want to perform the same mistake twice. if that's the case. So going through the same speed, the driver might be a little bit more hesitant. Little hesitations can, really draw back from the speed of the buggy. So we'll see what happens. But I think she'll be fine. I really don't see a problem coming out. As far as how they perform, it's kind of up in the air. With men, you don't really know exactly what's going to happen. Push practices are just so minor because you're only doing 1 or 2 hills a night. To really come out on race day to see everything come to fruition, with a team like Spirit, with their depth and pushers, with their speed, with their experience, you can see anything from a 225 down to a 210. It's really going to just all come together, and we'll see what happens.
Fringe D, also in the heat. And again, this was split because I think, right, SDCC and Spirit B had been rolling so similarly. That SDC time officially 219.42. So I guess maybe that's the ballpark you're looking for from Spirit.
Now, normally when you're looking at sweepstakes is concerned, as you're doing heat selection on the Sunday night, it's the job of sweepstakes to look at what's the safest thing for the course. And as you're communicating with the representatives from the teams, I remember back in 2012 talking with Mike about where his team wanted to be. So he wants where his team wants to be to optimize, their best performance. But it's the job of sweepstakes to make sure everybody's safe.
Mark, man in the chute, I believe we have you now joining us. Want to share your thoughts? What are you thinking heading into this race day? Didn't get your preview on the air.
Well, it's a beautiful day down here at the chute. We got a decent crowd, probably 100, 200 people. It's magnificent. We got blue skies, warm roads, fast pushers. I see that, there's a good 6 teams rolling fast in free roll. You apply that to some A and B teams. The top 10 is going to be a pretty interesting mix. You probably see SDC distancing themselves, at least based on what I saw with their women. They seem to have bounced back from last year's enigma of a performance. So the machine seems to be fully back in gear and running on all cylinders. As for the rest, Spirit has clearly stepped it up. CIA stepped it up last year and is continuing. We have the Fish, who are probably going to step back a little bit. And then you have Fringe. We'll see if it's the performance based on their women, which means they're back as well. Or could it be the Fringe that showed up a few years ago and really had kind of lost the thread? It'll be an interesting day as we see that roll out. So far, it's very clear that the chute turns are a result of plenty of practice. I've only seen a couple wobbles here and there, not too much time lost, and this is really a time suck. If you slide, if you fishtail, you have cost your team seconds. And then lastly, based on the women's, I think we're going to see a lot of not so great hill threes. There's more speed coming up the hill than these pushers are used to, and it's a very hard judgment. So you're going to take, for example, the women's. I don't think I saw a decent pickup amongst the top 7. I think 6 of them got blown away, and 1 of them was ahead of it. That, I think, tomorrow for the women, that'll be the difference. It sorts out 2 through 5, and if SDC can do a decent hill 3, they got the record. Back to you.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, exciting stuff on the women's side. If you didn't catch that action, SDCA only about a second or so off of the all-time record. We'll be looking out for that tomorrow. More sunshine. It's all in their hands, really. Clear separation between them and the rest of the pack. CIA about 8 seconds behind them in second place. So a big story for tomorrow on the women's side. Record. Do you guys think there's any potential for a record on the men's side here, given the course conditions and everything?
Mike, your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like I was commenting on earlier, that 2009 men's record that SDC set, it was really, you can't say any race is perfect, but that was an absolutely fantastic race. Very, very difficult to match that, even with, excellent conditions like we're seeing today, all the practice that we've gotten. But it's possible, right?
Yeah.
The the scene is set. We have good weather. We've got all the practice. You know, the times that we've gotten so far are indicating this is a faster year. We're going to be everyone's going to be real competitive, and so it's possible. You know, this is the kind of build up that you would expect if something like that was going to happen.
Absolutely. With as far as breaking a record, last year's times around the 210. And up,
It broke a record in the wrong way.
It broke a record in the wrong way.
It was the slowest winning men's time since 1980.
Fun.
I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. You may know this. I think it was the slowest winning time since they put women in buggies. I think I'm pretty sure. Someone told me that, and if not, I made it up and whatever. Use it at your.
I mean,
trivia night.
that's probably
Well,
what it is.
you're close on that one. It's certainly the slowest winning time in a three-wheeler. Oh, buggy's not coming.
It looks like we're starting up here on the second heat. Lane 2 is Spirit B. Lane 3, Fringe D. Spirit B coming out of the gates pretty strong right here. Looking to get into that 1-2 transition there. They're flying. Buggy a little bit behind the Hill 2 pusher right there, but he's caught up with it. Good strength right there. A pretty smooth shove into the free roll. About 28 seconds. Fringe D, 2 or 3 seconds behind them.
Got a nice tailwind going here.
Now, Mike, can you quickly talk about how wind like this can affect buggy speed as far as drag on the push bar?
Oh, I don't think it's a very significant effect. And you know, the course is a loop, right? So any tailwind you get on one part.
Coming up on the stop sign, about a 56-second stop sign time. Pretty close to SDCC earlier. Coming on now, hitting that first shoot flag.
All right. Spirit rolling towards the shoot flag. Nice turn. A little tight. She let it go. Going back in. Spinning into the bales. Stay off the road.
It looks like they'll put.
All right.
It looks like Fringe D gonna
Fringe
keep
safely
going
through.
It's unfortunate. Spirit B, both their B team buggies unable to make it through the chute. Fringe D though still rolling. Not a bad pickup from Hill 3. Looked like the buggy lost some momentum there, probably right because of safety going through the chute there. We'll see. They may be granted a re-roll later.
Well, normally when you're granting a reroll, what you're looking at is a split time where the driver is unable to really change direction or do anything. I think if Fringe really wanted to reroll, they may get it, but they're more likely, in my opinion, not to get it. She had a lot of time to make a decision whether to stop. She chose to go through the chute. She had a clean chute turn.
4 to 5 transition coming. This Hill 5 is a lightning bolt. He is flying there.
I think it's the hands. I think the hands are making him faster.
It's something like that. He is just, wow. Chugging along right there. 229. Looking like he's going to cross right here at a 232.72.
It's a very good D team time.
A pretty strong showing from them. Story, though, obviously, Spirit unable to make it through the chute there. You know, this year they've been getting a lot of buzz on the men's side. Interesting to see, you know, what this does to the A-team psychology. Pretty good showing from their women's A-team. Mark, I don't know if you have any eyes down there on the driver or anything like that.
Well, they've pulled the driver out of the buggy. They're still assessing, and I can't really see where she is. They seem pretty calm, so thinking she's going to be okay. Her turn, she started a little too tight, loosened it back up, then tightened it back up, and it was on that second turn in where the back started going around. So plenty of speed, but it's, you know, regular trikes are a lot harder to wrangle through the chute. And here's a good example of what happens when you're not silky smooth.
Actually, Mike, sorry to overstep my bounds, Will, but Mike, you and I were talking about on course walks about that issue. You want to continue that conversation?
Sure. I mean, to kind of set the scene, right? There are some teams that build reverse trikes. They seem to swear by it, right? Fringe. Some teams that build forward trikes, they swear by it. S2C, Spirit. And then, some teams switch. And that's also been competitive for Pika and CIA. They have, very fast buggies in both categories. So there's definitely a trade-off, especially as students, when you're, like, designing your next build or whatever. It's up to you. You're gonna like put a lot of thought into what you're doing there, and maybe you might be more comfortable with one thing or another. But yeah, they have their advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next upcoming heat here, Apex A, SAE A, CIAD, SAE, always one of our favorite buggies out there. They actually had a solid looking push team last year, so who knows if they can shake things up, but obviously probably Apex's heat to lose.
Yeah, and interesting. My most interesting part about this heat, SAEA's returning Monster Hill 1 pusher.
Oh yeah.
What a spectacle to watch! That is going to be a great heat up the front hills.
Spectacle.
That is
A
like the
spectacle.
next Boom Goes to Die. What a spectacle to watch. Congratulations.
It will be magnificent.
I think it will. We'll see what that heat looks like coming up over the hills. I think it's going to be very close between Apex A and SAEA. The free roll depends a lot, on how both of these teams have changed in the last year. With small orgs, a few people can make a few key decisions and really, change things up as far as how the buggies are rolling. So it's much harder to kind of predict that. But definitely, up through the shove-off, I'm expecting this to be very competitive and interesting race.
What I honestly expect with CIA's build quality versus SAE's speed on pushers, I see a real tight race. Partly because I think if they get beat up the hill, SAE might get the advantage going down the free roll, but CIA might be able to overtake them on the free roll just because of how quick it is. I think Apex, if they can jump out first, they'll be fine. But I think, like Mike said, if SAE's monster pusher is actually fast enough,
Brian Backus?
Might be able to beat all of them up the hill. So we'll see what happens.
A lot of potential for excitement in this race. And then, of course, also would be remiss not to mention CIAD doing it all in suits, I believe, as is their tradition.
Which is, it's nice. It classes up Buggy a little bit.
Classes, CIA bringing class to Buggy since whenever they've been around since. We're getting warmed up.
All right, Will, this is Mark with an update. Driver is out of the buggy. They seem to be tending to an injury on her foot. It doesn't seem to be life-threatening, but they're certainly taking it seriously. So we'll be delayed here for a little while.
Great. Thank you, Mark.
That brings up an extremely interesting point, actually, that I don't know if it's ever come up on race day. The harness requirements.
Yes.
Right. So people talk about safety requirements in buggy, and there's been a lot of heated conversation about the specific, rules and standards. A lot of them are very difficult to follow in the sense that they are idealized, right? They talk about like 1-ton steel plates and kind of silly situations.
Isn't it like an infinite bar and it's
right? You've
across
got like
a certain point of the buggy?
Infinitely stiff things. There's been a lot of suspicion about the need for harness points to restrain the driver from moving backwards, right? And what happened in her spin there was she got turned around and then she hit the bales backwards.
Right.
There's a very strong case and maybe a good reason to re-examine that rule maybe and the standard applied to those front harness points.
With with so many of harness points, being able for the driver to, because we talked about drawbacks between reverse and standard trike, there's drawbacks to having so many points of the driver being connected to the buggy. In the event of some sort of crash getting her out, with multiple points of harness attachment, you also see, well, if we need to get her out, let's say we can't get to one of those harness points. Also, when you look at that, I mean, that's a thought when you're looking at it. You're also looking at, as far as, I'm going to say about 10% of the crashes are just like that one, where it's a backwards type the backwards tight crash in the event that she hurts her foot. Most crashes going through the chute are going to be head-on crashes or a lateral crash.
Yeah.
So with that, a harness that prevents you from going backwards, not really.
I mean,
it's not really gonna.
You need
help
to keep
as much.
you need to keep that driver in the buggy, right? Like that's priority number one. If you got a few extra harness points, and you need to cut someone out because time is of the essence, okay, that's how it goes. Like whatever the rules need to standardize so that you keep your driver like inside that shell safe.
Oh yeah.
So
Agree.
yeah.
I was just bringing up. There's that's been one of the points that's been brought up about drawbacks.
And it is something that is fascinating, how much thought, engineering, everything goes into it. Obviously, every year, sweepstakes, dedicating more and more. Safety is a huge priority, and, by and large, they do a great job. Good to see the driver was able to get out. There, it looks like Spirit's driver was, trying to find the name. Diamond Moody. Glad to see she's able to get out of there. Feeling all right. And, congratulations to Sweepstakes on, everything they do with safety. And, by and large, it's nice to see the street paved. Compared to last year, a lot cleaner so far through the women's. And that turn, obviously, notwithstanding, by and large, things looking pretty clean.
Right. That helps. It definitely does. It definitely helps in the chute. I think Mike would agree that chute turn being paved is by far one of the best things that could have happened. Apart from the rest of the course being paved, but
I think it's going to make the chute more predictable, right? You have a more consistent surface that you're driving across, but also, and we've seen this already, much faster.
yeah.
Right, so if you're having some, technical issues, you don't have enough traction, your line is poor, that surface isn't going to help you. You're going fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives and it takes.
Absolutely.
One question on that, right? Because we saw on the women's races, just about every Hill 3 failed to have a smooth pickup. What type of preparation do you think might be happening on the men's side, kind of observing that? And what would they do to try and adjust for that, if anything?
I think what these pushes are doing is they're starting from a dead stop. Instead of what you should be doing is you should be like sidestepping or like slightly jogging with the buggy to kind of anticipate that pickup. Starting from a dead stop and trying to sprint up and catch it, you're A, not going to catch it, or B, the time you do catch it is going to be when it starts to slow down. Then you're fighting an uphill battle with that buggy instead of just continuing its momentum. So the drivers, they're not going to slow down. So the pushers need to start like jogging into it instead of starting from that dead stop.
Is that
All right,
different?
this is Mark. The driver's up. They're loading into the follow car, and so they'll be up shortly. She's shaken. Her foot looks like it has a small bandage. But all in all, I think she's going to be all right.
Excellent.
She was definitely moving. And some interesting purple wheels on the back end of Spirit.
Oh.
Something I hadn't seen.
Thank you, Mark, for the update. Great to hear that. I'm sure you're very interested in the wheels as well.
Yeah, I think with these new road conditions, if I were a pusher looking to try to figure out Hill 3, you're almost like throwing out the playbook right now, right? We have ridiculously fast front hills, very fast free roll. The drivers are driving cleanly and without obstruction, right? The buggies are well separated. Chute turn, recently repaved. Drivers are taking nice lines. All this is cumulative, right? It's throwing off the training that these Hill 3 pushers have had. So I think in a sense, they really just need to maybe play more by instinct, something like that. Try to figure out a better way to retrain themselves quickly to better judge the speed of these buggies coming up. Because, clearly when you have such a consistent failure to get a good pickup, there's it's not just one team's training method or what one pusher's doing. Everybody's got to throw out the rules and start again and try to learn as best as they can for tomorrow or
Absolutely.
even the rest of the day.
This is Mark with respect to the Hill 3 pickups. You know, it's really about experience. And you hate to say it, but typically the men's teams get more practice time on Hill 3. And there's been a history going back, way before, like to the dawn of women's push teams. My ex-wife had probably one of the worst pickups ever. And it continues to today.
And that's I think that highlights an important feature, right? For the women's race, a pickup is extremely important. A huge you're talking 2 or 3 seconds on Hill 3 is down to the pickup in a women's race. And when you're looking to improve your time, if you're, one of these top tier women's teams, that's what you need to do. Obviously, your team better give you that practice. Like, that's what you deserve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, I do think there is some time to be gained there. And hopefully we'll see that. Hopefully we'll see teams getting better practice split between them.
Yeah, Mark brought up a perfect point about experience with these pushers. And Mike, you talked earlier about how you kind of just throw out the playbook in your training and instinct kind of takes over. And coupled with both of you saying, we're going to see where the experience lies with Hill 3 pushers. So returning Hill 3 pushers from last year are going to remember like how fast my buggy is going to be, where I need to pick it up, and that anticipation of it. So I think we're going to see the veteran teams, the veteran A teams, really make up those times instead of seeing a D team or a C team really make those differences.
There's a lot of coaching that can go into it too, right? After you've got the first day's races, you can go back, review that footage, and say like, okay, Hill 3 pusher, like where would you be, and talk it through with them. And you got lots of great examples here of people getting blown away by their buggies.
Yeah.
And every one of those is a learning opportunity. So I'm sure that the women will improve through tomorrow.
Especially your top teams that are in the running. So we have Spirit, we have Fringe, we have SDC. The teams that want to make sure that they're really close, if not better than the times they've seen today, because they know how close it can be. So with Fringe coming out, they could easily drop maybe like 1 or 2 seconds. CIA might drop 1 or 2 seconds. SDC may have a slightly less good of a day, and CIA and Fringe might be able to edge them out by that 1 second. But like you said, that coaching from day 1 to day 2 might make up those differences. You might see a change in the leaderboard.
Looking to get things restarted here. Obviously, a bit of a delay there with the crash. Looking forward to getting this heat, Apex A, SAEA, CIAD, really just getting things kicked off here. None of these teams necessarily ones you expect to be on the podium, but a lot of buggy action still to come. And really, this is probably going to be an exciting race for the reasons we mentioned, just potential for pass and stuff like that. But kind of the mid-tier, let's talk a little bit about Apex. Right, trying to make that jump. They've looked solid, but what steps do you think Apex really needs to take to get into, a top 6 type of discussion?
The first thing, I think that is worth mentioning is Apex has really done fantastic work over these last few years. Absolutely phenomenal job, getting started up, building frequently. They didn't just like inherit or borrow a buggy from another team and try to run on fumes. They're really powering out their own program. And I think it's only a matter of time, once you've got that sort of core, once you have 4 years of pushers, 4 years of mechanics, and then you start to teach and build on those 4 years as you continue, that's when you really start to accumulate that expertise that you need to push it into day 2.
Right. When you look at building a team, it's just like building a buggy. The first mold that you get is going to be rough. It's going to have a lot of defects in it. And over time, what you're doing is smoothing out those defects. You get a perfect buggy. So to get a perfect team, you need to smooth out all those edges. And that just takes time. It takes experience. It takes being able to humble yourself and say, like, what are we doing wrong, and asking for advice from other teams, and eventually you get to be a team that's like up to like SDC, Pika standards.
And I think one accolade to definitely give to Apex, I believe this is kind of their second generational year where the majority, maybe all of their team who founded it has graduated now. And they're still there, you know, putting out a competitive team, which I think is a huge first step in building that consistency, is the fact they've stuck around, you know.
Yeah.
There's enough to have a second generation and a strong one at that.
That's the hump for every team. It's once you crest that second generation and you get returning people, it's like, okay, well, we can sustain ourselves.
Looks like the pushers are getting lined up here. Probably a couple minutes to go until we're getting to the start of this race. Again, Apex A will be in lane 1, SAEA in lane 2, CIAD lane 3, rocking the suits. And this could be really interesting stuff. Again, we're saying, right, SAEA may, Apex A probably going to be in the lead, but the secondary race, really, SAEA, maybe the first one over ahead of CIAD, with then a potential pass by CIAD.
So, interesting point here. Apex is Hill 1 and Hill 4 returning pushers. Alec Kirschman and Harrison Landis. Alec has got a solid Hill 1 time here. About a 17-second Hill 1. That's competitive for day 2. That's the kind of time you need to be at. However, their Hill 4 is excellent, above the bar, in that top range Pike SDC kind of team. And then they have 3 new pushers. So this has the potential to be an extremely fast Apex team.
Right. I believe are they pushing Ember?
I think so.
Yeah. And Ember has gone through multiple, fix it. All right, this breaks, let's fix it. This breaks, let's fix it. And I think they got into a point where Ember's at that top tier status where it can get a solid maybe a sub 50 time.
1 minute now till this race gets underway. SAEA and CIAD's buggies both on the course. Still waiting to see Ember right there from Apex. It was interesting. SAE was rolling their buggy down the hill. I don't know if I've seen that type of a entry too often.
Well, they're clearly winding the drive. Pull it back and then let.
Maybe they borrowed the magnets from Sigep. People will get that joke if they're listening.
How do they work? All right, all the buggies are on the course now. Less than a minute to go to start. A resumption of men's action here.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
And here we are, they're off. We get Brian Backus, absolute beast on Hill 1 for SAE. And he's looking to be the first one up over Hill 1 there. Just monstrous pushes. Apex A holding their own, getting fairly close. But it's going to be SAE, the first ones looking to go over Hill 2. They get that transition first.
Whoa. Oh.
A nice shove there.
He held back that push bar there for a second. That's going to cost him a lot.
Slowing him down. And let's see right here. Yeah, you just look at Apex cruising, looking to be gaining a lot of speed.
Some unusual lines there.
I think what she was trying to do was maybe take the inside track and maybe pass her. I think that's what she's trying to do. Also, SAE's driver is fairly new. She's not as experienced as Apex's is.
55 stop sign time for SAE, about a 57 for Apex A.
All right, coming through the upper transition, Apex about 8 buggy wings back. They are closing, but I think it'll be not so close here. Taking the shoot flag. SAE smooth. Apex going a little tighter. Both good turns, both hugging the inside bales. It's like they're locked in that distance. Nice pickup, a little ahead of it. And then great pickup for Apex.
Apex closing some distance right there. It's going to come down to these back hill pushers.
Oh, this is nice. This is the competitiveness that you want to see with Buggy.
Wow. Maybe 2 buggy lengths behind right here. Apex getting cheers from their fans, trying to will them to get in front of SAE. SAE running for their lives. Apex trying to draw neck and neck. And it looks like the Hill 5 transition going to be just about simultaneous. It's about who has the better Hill 5, who wants it more. And Apex, a strong push on the 4 to 5, but can he catch up to the buggy? He's coming there, he's got his hands on the push bar, and it looks like Apex is going to take this on the Hill 5, but let's see, SAE, are they done? And a really nice job right there by Apex on those back hills. Hand on the push bar, 221.68. Maybe 2 seconds later right there for SAE. CIA still cruising in the suits.
I like how their suits match the buggy.
Ooh.
The old black and white.
Yeah.
It's good to see Orca out again, too.
Orca's not a bad buggy.
About a 241 for them.
Yeah, those front hills were very impressive. Rerolls also not bad, although I think the drivers lost a lot of time scrolling around a little bit, thinking about a pass or getting nervous or something. On the other hand, although the technique in the back hills was excellent, a little disappointing. Those might not make the cut to the second day. We'll see.
Yeah, it looks like, 221.67 for Apex. That puts them 2 seconds behind SDCC already. Now, put them into second place. But again, there's a lot more buggies to roll.
Interesting tidbit.
Darcy's fun facts.
Yeah, Darcy's fun facts. SAE is the most experienced push team at Raceday this year.
Okay.
Really?
They have an average of, they've pushed slightly more than 2 race days on average for each.
Okay.
There you go. Any observations from down in the chute, Mark?
Well, yeah, that was a heat that had 2 buggies that were very closely matched in the free roll, but weren't at that top tier of speed. And, I think it was good judgment on the part of Sweepstakes to let that heat proceed. That went off without a hitch. It was exciting racing. We had solid chute turns, although at a slightly lower speed. They were able to actually go tighter and shorten their course a little bit. And you can see that their resulting time, in the 220-ish range, really, that's not about the pushers. That's not about the drivers. That was about the free roll. And so you got to have all the ingredients. And in this case, they have not quite stepped up, right? They easily had about, I'm going to say, 6 to 8 seconds left on the table in the free roll.
Wow. And that could be very important going into day 2, especially as competitive as we're imagining this year's going to be. Next heat, Sigep B, SDCD, Fringe B. And Sigep, we'll talk about that, but one of the most perplexing teams out there. As I'm sure you know quite a bit, Anthony, but what can we see out of their B squad?
Now, their B squad, what they're pushing is they're pushing Havoc, driven by Sophie, Tri-Delta here at CMU. Sophie's good. I think she's one of the better drivers in the course, especially for her age. She's a freshman. But what you're going to see is you're going to see a fast buggy, Havoc, which was formerly named Dick Buggy, but they renamed it just before race day. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a fast push team for a B team. Sigep usually has a strong depth as far as pushers. So I'm very much excited to see a good push team. It depends on who their competitors are, and they're looking at the go against Fringe B. I think the Sigep B versus Fringe B is going to be a solid race up the hill. If they can crest Hill 1 before Fringe and get the free roll, I think they'll win out this heat.
3 minutes.
Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Havoc showed any speed in truck weekend. So they may be looking to have a significant step up, and significant even for Sigep, who has a tradition of bolting the good wheels on race day and letting it fly. So this will be, it could be anything.
Yeah.
This thing could crawl around the course, or this thing could be flying. And I'm curious.
So it's anywhere between Pandora and Barracuda is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now that multiple people have said it, I think Sigep's buggy is Hydra.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
are
it's
saying-
the new
Yeah.
buggy. We always called it Dick Buggy just because it was a good name for the alumni to remember. But Hydra's good. It complements Kraken in build and technology.
And feed.
So yeah, and what we're gonna do is see what Sigep can come out with. I think Sigep is having the highest potential. We haven't seen them much on the course as far as the spring semester, but they have the depth, they have the passion, they have good drivers, they have great wheels. So I'm excited, rooting for them, obviously.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I'm going to put myself in the skeptical camp.
That's fine.
I think when if I hear some mechanics, complaining that or claiming, oh, we're not tryhards, we're just there to relax and have a good time, that really it makes it a lot harder to make the cut to the second day. Sigep B has been kind of a variable team. In 2013, they had a 248, which is really quite slow, and but more recently they've been in the high teens. If we expect them to drop a couple seconds off of last year, maybe then they're up in the running, right? We're thinking the cutoff for the second day will be somewhere around those high teens. So we'll see what happens. I think a lot is on Hydra to perform as new buggy, and also as Mark was saying, it's real important that all the teams got all three parts, right? They gotta make sure that they get that pre-roll part in.
Absolutely. I think it's going to happen. Their pushers look ready.
And we'll see. Fringe definitely poses a threat, though. It's another B team out there. And
So
I was talking
Sigep
about
has
their
a
flaggers.
tradition of not showing all their cards till race day, and I think it burned them last year because I think the Barracuda was actually still faster than the buggy they ran A. So if you look at how they ended up just out of winning, and if they had had Barracuda in that spot, I think you would be looking at last year's chance. So it does cost you if you don't get out here and hit it hard every day in practice. Right? There's a reason SDC, Pika, those kind of teams have done well over the years. It's because they're out here in force every day.
Looks like the race right about to get started.
5, 4,
Lane 1, Sigep B. Lane 2, STCD.
1. Ready, set.
And we're off again. Fringe B getting a pretty nice push right here on Hill 1. Sigep B, though, taking advantage of that first lane, looking to separate a bit. Coming really neck and neck into that transition.
It's going to
So
be close.
Fringe got the transition before Sigep B. It's going to be tight right here in the stop sign. Sigep just gets it off ahead. Not a great shove, but they got the inside position right there.
Actually, I think that was a fantastic shove by Hill too.
Excellent technique by Fringe also. See that right there, that could have cost them the pass. Fringe is getting antsy, trying to come in around. Went to the right, now is coming back around to the left. This would have been a lot easier if she had been patient and just followed behind.
We
and
got
just
some
picked up.
neck and neck action right here. Nary a buggy length between these two as we come to the stop sign. And Fringe cuts underneath Sigep right there.
All right,
What a
both
move.
of them take the shit pin. Wow, Fringe just had to juke to avoid. Coming up to the shoe flag. Both turning, Fringe taking the inside line. Inside line. They touch, but they're both through cleanly. They touch again. They're grinding.
And it looks like we lost some speed there. You see that coming up pretty low in Hill 3. SDC making up some space on there. Fringe ahead right here on the back hills, but Sigep, some great pushers. And this is looking to be another neck and neck one. SDCD also pretty close in there. Looks like Sigep got the first push there on the hill 3 to 4, but Fringe B, a couple buggy length separation from them right there. And they're only getting further ahead, this hill 4 pusher, making some nice distance between himself and the Sigep B squad. Coming now into that 4-5 transition, buggies nearly even. The shove off from 4 to 5 to both, and this is going to be a foot race to the finish right here. Fringe B maintaining their distance ahead. getting a little bit of closure there on Sigep B. Sigep B, though, trying to crank it up behind, trying to catch up to that Buggy. About a half Buggy length of difference between the two. Fringe B, hands on the push bar. They're going to get in first. Sigep B right behind. Probably a 2:19 or so. SDCD coming in 2:28.
Now,
Hey, Will, were those small wheels on this Sigep Buggy?
I think so.
Yeah, we can see them right here.
Yeah, they're pretty small. I don't know why.
Right, so that's not normal. Those are new for them this year, and clearly they weren't up to the task of staying ahead of Fringe in the free roll. So interesting strategy. Little wheels, very easy to push, maybe not so great in the free roll, particularly those speed skate wheels. They're, trust me, I've tried them.
Yeah.
Not so good. Yeah, I think especially Fringe B here, very tough heat to drive in, but they're going to drop a lot of time if they make it into finals tomorrow.
Yeah.
That driver was left and right trying to pass, thinking about it, seeing what she could do. There was a little bit of contact. We'll see if there's going to be any re-rolls necessary from that contact, but definitely, both of these teams could do a lot better if they weren't in the same heat.
I think what a lot of speed came down to was that shoot turn. I think they lost a lot of momentum. I think because of the contact, not only once, but twice, according to Mark, down the chute, which has a better view than us. It's cause for a reroll. So both teams, considering how competitive they are, I mean, they were both, it was 218, 219 around those times for each team. That's beating STCC. So those are going to be the top two. Potentially, it's going to be the bottom of the pack for day two. However, if they want, that reroll, they're gonna have to choose like now whether or not those times are going to make it or they're going to get a better time, because whatever time they get is going to be for tomorrow. So we'll see what happens.
And props right there to that Fringe push team. Really nice back hills on them, creating that separation out of that shoot turn against a pretty big Sigep B push team as well. We thought they might have had the advantage there in the athletes, but Fringe put it together pretty well. Those times coming through, Fringe B official time a 2:18.69. That moves them into first place. Sigep B a time of 2:19.79. That'll actually put them in third behind SDCC, behind by about 0.4 of a second.
So I think that really puts the pressure on Fringe A. That is a solid, considering what was going on in that heat, that's a very solid time for Fringe B team. I'm expecting Fringe A now to come in probably below 2:06. It could be a very fast year.
This next heat coming up, one of the more interesting teams out there, CIA A, along with Spirit D. CIA, very good showing last year, especially through day one. What do you think we see out of them this year?
They're not that bad. It's gonna be like we said about all these men teams. What's really gonna come out is that formula that we've been talking about all day. It's a solid push team, good conditions, and a great free roll. With CIA, Mike, you can talk about their push teams, but it's gonna be that experience of CIA's men's push team, especially for their A team, to have appropriate pickup times and good transitions to really make up those crucial seconds, half seconds that are going to put them further up the leaderboard.
Yeah, I think CIA's experience is definitely going to help them out a lot here, especially now that they've started to build these really competitive times. The older pushers are going to start to get a hang of how to explain, how do you make an excellent transition, how do you make an excellent pickup. And that sort of accumulated knowledge is definitely in play here for CIA going forward.
Now, I took some preliminary Hill 1 times. SAE right now on top of King of the Hill with around an 18-second Hill 1. That was all the way up until the transition. Sigep was around 21 seconds. So if you're looking to put up a solid time, 18 seconds on your Hill 1 is the time to beat.
Definitely.
Now, interesting results for that heat. Two buggies hitting together not once, but twice, and yet they still get sub 220 times. That's pretty remarkable in terms of the push team and the speed they had prior to contact. If you look at the rules, the trailing buggy is responsible for passing safely, that dyslexic man. Anyway, it's not clear that if Fringe asked for a reroll, they would really have the basis for one, right? Passing cleanly means passing and not making contact.
Yes.
They were behind. They ended up in front.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but if I was Sigep, I might be protesting.
So I think there's an interesting precedent here. Last year, SDC B was granted a reroll against Spirit B in what frankly was a less obvious situation. I think that Fringe's most competent argument for a reroll here is going to be all the swerving that they were taking at the beginning. That Sigep definitely was affecting their line. At no fault of the driver Sigep, but there's definitely a potential that Fringe could take a different argument. I agree with Mark that if the rules were interpreted as written, it might not be such solid footing, but Sweepstakes has been a little bit more understanding or taken maybe with the spirit of the rules rather than exactly how they're written when granting rerolls recently.
Right. As far as rules are concerned, when you're looking at, I've done tape review 2 years in a row, looked over rules so many times. When you're looking at granting a team a reroll especially on preliminaries, you're looking at whether or not someone made the safest choice, and I think that happened today, especially what Mark said about the Fringe rule.
Yeah, I'm getting some feedback down here. Oh, Buggy's at the line. I'll shut up.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
We have CIAA in lane A, Spirit D in lane B. CIAA coming out to a pretty fast start.
I think they took the Fringe motivation and decided to go shirtless this year.
One-handed shove between 1 and 2. Maintain the momentum pretty well as they're coming up around towards the stop sign.
It's good technique.
Smooth into the free roll. Spirit a bit behind them. The CIA, this very much about the technology, these quality buggies, really good in the free roll. Clear, clean driving. Coming up to the stop sign, and the stop sign time at a 53 seconds. Looking to be about the
Fantastic
top.
line as far as lines being taken today.
All right. CIA rolling down, coming smooth, taking the flag. Oh, a little late in the turn, but a little slide, but then she fixed it. Going through nicely. Hitting the driveway now. Spirit through cleanly. Some red looking wheels.
CIA. Pretty clean transition right there. They got some big boys on those back hills.
That hill forward started very far back, I think. Might be some time.
Yeah, maybe only one push between the 4 and the 3. Long way to go for hill 4.
Now, quick side note: when you're transitioning, the hill that you were transitioning to is allowed to pace up until through the transition zone.
This is going to be a fantastic time.
Hill 5 just cruising right there. Letting the buggy get away from him a little bit. Maybe 1 or 2 more pushes. Maybe 1 more push. Trying to catch that buggy. Coming through hands on the push bar at 2:10 and a half. Very nice time right there by CIAA. Spirit D coming through. 2:27. They need the finish line. 2:32, 2:33. Pretty nice for DT.
Yeah.
We saw that from Fringe.
CIA. very similar early to the shoot turn for Spirit that resulted in a spin. However, in this case, the driver sorted it before she got to the stripes and finished with a great turn. But it's that initial turn in that kind of sets the tone. And kudos to CIA's driver for realizing she had gone in a little too tight, loosening it up, and then straightening it through the turn. Nice job.
Yeah, so, things are looking a lot faster this year. I'm not so sure that CIA's 210 is going to hold up through the rest of the day, but improving on last year's time by 3 seconds is absolutely amazing. CIA is on the right track. You cannot understate the improvement there between a 212 and a 210. A few more years of that, and that's really a first-place contending team.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, you have, I was able to get a rough hill one time. They're at 19-second hill one. If you look at 19-second hill one, anything sub that with anything better buggies, we're going to see definitely sub 210 times. So when you start seeing teams, let's see, next up is...
We got SDCB,
Yeah.
Spirit C, and Fishing Club.
Yeah, when between these teams, anything with their quality of buggies, their technology and wheels and mechanics, coupled with fast hill one times, I don't know, Mike, I'm looking for a 206 at least out of one of these teams coming up.
Between SDCB and Fish A?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be close. Again, really setting the stakes here for the sort of like going into finals. If SDCB can follow the trend and put up a time that's faster than, a 210, that's really something. We'll have to see here how these front hills go. I expect with the reigning king of the hill that Fish A is going to have a pretty significant advantage. But, maybe it'll be a pass in the back hills. Maybe there'll be something going on in the chute. We'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be a close heat.
Teams getting set, coming out here.
This is also notably fishing team's chance for redemption. If you remember, they missed the push bar last year. And so, you've got a great stage, right? A really competitive heat. It's going to be exciting. Got all the juices flowing. Hopefully they get the juices all the way to their fingertips and onto that push bar. So
That's a lot of juice there, Mike.
Hey, Will, many listeners at home may not be aware of why there's a team
Sure.
called Fish.
Sure,
Can you fill them in?
it's a great question. So, Fishing Club, not a historical buggy franchise by any means. However, due to some technicalities, Pika Alpha was unable to push this year. So a good number of their brothers and buggies, whatnot, were joined into the CMU Fishing Club. However, there are some rules with it which may help or hinder them. We're really not quite sure where. Only 50% of the team can be affiliated with the fraternity. And so because of that, they actually have brought in some, folks who wouldn't have been brothers, wouldn't have been able to push with them. We're at a traditional Pika team. So the buggies you're going to be seeing are Pika buggies. Majority of the guys you're going to see are are Pika guys. But they do have some folks mixed in outside of the house, and I do believe varsity athlete types. So they could be.
I don't think we want to
improving
get them in
even.
trouble.
No. Well, I mean, it's anybody. It's an independent organization that loves to fish and push buggy. That's allowed within the rules. So it'll be interesting to see, how they do here, with this new team kind of being formed, later in the game. But obviously some very good raw talent there. So yes, Fishing Club is the official team. But very much, pieces of Pika.
So we have a really unique opportunity here to resolve a sort of like long-standing argument among different buggy teams, which is, as being a fraternity team an advantage or a disadvantage, right? Mm-hmm. So last year, Pike's men team, all brothers, right? They have, a group of well-bonded individuals, they're good friends and all that. They're really motivated to get out and support their team, right? Does that, give them a recruitment advantage within, this smaller pool, or are they going to post a faster time now that they can go out and find these other people? So it'll be really interesting, especially given that their front hills are the same, to make a direct comparison on the back hills to see, as they improve a lot of time now that they can take on a few people who aren't brothers in the fraternity.
Well, I don't
say-
think this will answer that debate, but it will be interesting.
As far as debates go between Greeks and Orgs, we'll talk about that right after this heat.
Yeah, 1 minute to go before we jump into this heat, but certainly expecting some fireworks here. SDCB rolling out, many teams would want to have them as their A squad. Fishing Club A going up head-to-head against them. I think this might be very tight through the end. We'll get all that answered very, very soon. Getting the buggies out on the course.
Now, one of the most stressful parts is getting the buggies right to the finish line and carrying them. I remember in 2012, Pika dropped the buggy coming out of the truck. So it's not a time to be taken lightly. Let's put it that way.
Spirit C also involved in this race.
Yeah, another fun fact real quick. Pike is the only multiple push team org without a mechanic DQ in the last 4 years. So
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
And here they come off. Fishing Club, really powerful on Hill 1 right there. He is just flying out of the gate. Looking like they need to be the first one over, but SDCB catching up now and gaining a little bit of an advantage. All three of these teams very close to one another. Let's see who gets the first shove into the free roll.
oh my.
Nearly simultaneous right
Ah,
there.
there it is.
And that looks like Fishing Club ahead by the slightest of margins.
Hey, look, they're all standard trikes.
Fishing Club coming around now through the free roll. Maybe 2-3 buggy lengths between them and SDCB. Spirit C, pretty nice showing, losing a little bit of distance there. About a 52-second stop sign time for Fishing Club as they're coming towards the chute.
All right, buggies heading towards the chute flag, maintaining station. Smooth. Oh, SDC took a very aggressive early, then shed a ton of speed. Not a spin, but massive amount of speed shed. I expect Spirit to catch him here on Hill 3.
And here we go, Fishing Club rolling way up into Hill 3. Ton of momentum behind that. SDC and Spirit neck and neck. This could be some interesting stuff between the pushers right there. Fishing Club clear first place right here. They've done the 3-4 transition. SDC B, Spirit C, both now going with that 3-4 transition. But Fishing Club way, way ahead, coming with a pretty powerful back hill push. Let's see what their time looks like. It may be able to challenge CIAA as they transition now to that Hill 5, looking to be a little bit slower than CIAA, but that guy is flying. Coming up now, approaching, getting near the finish line, looking to maybe be a little bit over 210. Let's see, we'll get that finish line cam. It's coming from overhead. And he didn't. Wow, Fishing Club did not get the push bar. SDCB able to grab it there. Spirit C, very nice time.
Wow.
And for all intents and purposes, for the second year in a row,
You know,
no push
sometimes
bar.
you land the fish and sometimes it gets away.
Mark,
Yeah,
how long
that-
have you been waiting to use that?
Wow.
2 years in a row, that's really floundering.
God, the fishing jokes.
Something very fishy with their Hill 5.
Just
That's-
a field day of jokes there, Mark. Now, honestly, I think before even the push bar incident, they would have been disqualified. The Hill 4-5 transition, from our aspect up here in the booth, looked a little illegal. I think it was a late push off in the transition, which probably would have cost them the race as it was. But the push bar is honestly insult to injury, which is like rubbing salt on very open wounds.
Yeah, 2 years in a row. That's pretty incredible right there. And nice time. Let's see. Yeah, Fish A. Time won't stand. I think it would have been about a 2:12. But again, imagine seeing a disqualification there. And that probably opens up a slot for someone else to jump into day 2. They're one of those teams you probably bookmark a trip to day 2. SDC lost some speed, but still a 2:15. Very nice time out of them. And Spirit C, I think, threw up a 2:22. It was quite good for a C team there. That would put them into 6th place, I believe, 7th place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shoot turn definitely cost them. She overturned early, straightened it a bit, and then overturned again. And you just can't do that and get through on a trike. You might be able to get through on a reverse strike, but it was that's very eerily similar to the Spirit D spin. Just showing the replay of the missed push bar. I guess he cast it too hard as he was running.
Yeah, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to know that you got to keep it close on Hill 5 there.
Yeah. The thing is, with all the momentum you have, not only as a pusher, but the buggy itself, it can get away. It can get away from you in a split second, and you don't want to hang on to the push bar and slow it down just to keep it in front of you. You want to keep it just at arm's reach, but even the slightest touch might push it just that far out of reach.
Yeah, and I think that's understated effect. People always talk about the Hill 3 changes a lot on race day with the buggies going faster. Well, how about that Hill 5? Your buggy's gliding real smooth. You just give it a shove that's slightly too big, and it's going to get away from you, and you can't really fix that mistake, right? You can fix a bad pickup. You're not going to disqualify your team. But, the penalty there for not being prepared for race day speed is very high.
Well, I'm a little baffled as to why you would push it so hard when, he does 5% less effort and touches it crossing the line, and they're in tomorrow. It's going to be nice, right? This is the kind of weather where you're going to get 2 days. So I'm not really clear on what that guy was thinking.
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Disappointing year, obviously, just the fact that they were coming out as fishing club. Not ideal situation, not an ideal ending. Women's A team, we'll see how they do tomorrow, but obviously you wanted to see the men hit day 2. Coming up in the next heat, Spirit A and Fringe C. Spirit, a lot of talk about them. They've looked very good through spring practices. What are your thoughts on their chances?
Extremely high probability that they might be able to take the leaderboard, at least into day 2. That being said, they've hammered out all the dents in their mechanicking and the flaws that they've had in past years. I think they've gotten over. We looked at Spirit spinning out in the chute today, but I see a very experienced driver coming out. I see a great buggy. I see fast pushers. We talked about that recipe for success. Spirit has it. The little things like the transitions, holding your, making sure you're touching the push bar as it comes across. Yeah, those things might happen, but Spirit has been out consistently with multiple buggies, and not necessarily one buggy at a time or 1 or 2. I've always seen 3, probably 4 buggies every single weekend. Them getting the practice, them getting high speed practice too. They also have, Mike can attest to this, you have years of buggy pushers on tape from years that they've won. You go back and you watch those. You watch them over and over again. Not to mention you have a very strong alumni base with Spirit. Spirit's alumni base is very strong. They're very involved, and they like to keep it that way. They're a family in and of themselves. So I think this year, just like Sigep,
1 minute.
they have the potential to come out and really take that leaderboard from STC. No
Yeah,
offense.
you think, right, Fringe C's going up against them, probably not going to be too close there, so it's really kind of between them, you know, and their team to get through and, you know, see what damage they can do on day 2. But high potential this year.
Yeah, well, the question here is, will they make the shoot? And they've had 3 out of 4 buggies have perfectly fine shoot turns. I believe if this is the same driver in their A buggy, she was beautiful in the women's heat. So that'll be the question. If they have it, their newfound speed this year and a strong push team, they will be up there.
Yeah,
We'll see.
that I think their hill 3 pusher, as long as he can get a good pickup from that hill 3, not taking it late, not being beat up the hill either. Getting that hill 3, they'll be fine.
What do you think for a time, Anthony?
10, 9.
We'll find out in 10 seconds. Sorry.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
They haven't done above a 217.
And here we go, both teams are off. Spirit trying to make their mark here, Raceday 2016. Powerful up through Hill 1. There's going to be a very good Hill 1 time. Transition right at about 17 seconds.
Oh, fantastic! That's king of the hill so far. Let's see if it holds up.
Going here into Hill 2. Pretty much textbook. We go now into the free roll.
I really missed the somersault. Anybody else on the course?
Yeah, we'll see how this
Spirit
works
now.
out for 'em.
Everything really riding on this. Things looking good in the free roll. But it's all about this upcoming shoot turn. It's maligned them for many years. Gonna hit the stop sign about a 56 second for Fringe C at that stop sign. Coming towards the shoot.
All right, Spirit rolling down. Fringe taking the upper transition flag. Spirit's got the flag. She turned in.
8 minutes.
Nice. Perfect.
That is
Fringe coming
a...
through. Very tight. Nice turn.
And now let's see how the pickup goes. They got the turn. Hill 3. Catching up to the buggy.
Not bad. Not a bad hill 3.
He got smoked a little bit, but not so
He
bad.
caught up quick, though. 3 to 4 transition, and they are just flying right there. Fringe C, a pretty nice showing as well. Not too terribly far behind, but Spirit A now just blasting it in Hill 4. A lot of speed, a lot of power. Trying to take the top spot through this point in the day. And there we go, 4 to 5 transition.
Solid push.
We're looking at about a 210, I think.
Yep.
Trying to see, can they get sub 210, jump ahead of CIA. Really cruising here on Hill 5. See if we're gonna get to that overhead cam. That's a 211.89.
That's their best time in years.
Very nice time out of them. Fringe C coming in at 221.26.
Now-
Go ahead.
That was some fantastic driving in that heat.
Excellent shoot turn. That's where we talked about the experience coming in. Their ability to adjust quickly in the shoot, going about close to 40 miles an hour.
That turn had no questions. Nothing that would indicate that everyone had an issue with the shoot. It was beautiful.
That being said, though, it does come out 211, which is good for second right now. Hill 1 looked great, but what areas do you think they'd be able to shave off a couple seconds moving into tomorrow?
Hill 3 could have easily gained close to a second on his pickup. Not maybe a whole second, but I mean, it'll definitely drop time. I think the free roll was perfect. Couldn't do anything more about that. Hill 2 shove, maybe a little bit more. That could maybe do a second or two. But they had a fantastic push team. I don't know what you could not have asked anything more of Spirit today. It's a good, solid showing. The time is going to be where it's going to be. But tomorrow, maybe a little bit better transitions, a little bit better pickups. And I would say down to a 209 tomorrow.
Yeah, I think, as we've been talking about kind of a theme, you need the driving, you need the pushing, you need the free roll. It comes from mechanics a lot, right? So once you've got all of those three, decent, that gets you into that 210 range that we're seeing CIA and Spirit in right now. But, Spirit hasn't had that magic extra bit to get them past that 210 mark in more than a few years.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. So I think they could drop a little bit of time, but I don't think they're going to get below a 210 tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, just from where I'm sitting, they hit the crosswalk at 27. You got to be at 25 if you're going to break 210. So
Yeah.
they got great performance in the roll, solid turn, good drive, great pushers, but they need to step it up if they're going to break it in there. And that Hill 1 looked great, but somehow in the 1-2 transition, they lost about 2 seconds there.
It's interesting, Spirit's Hill 1 last year, very good pusher. I believe he's pushing for Sigep this year, is that right?
Yes, he is. Isaiah.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see if, that could have been the difference,
Yeah.
Also, whatever buggy lost this quarter 20 nut I'm holding, it's down here in the chute. Come get it.
Might be a Spirit buggy, maybe. We'll see what happens. Spirit, if you're missing a piece of your buggy, Mark Estes has it. But also, when we talk about the Hill 1, Hill 2 transition, by the end of Hill 1, you are exhausted. No matter how fast you get up the hill, you're dead by the end of it. What would probably help Spirit is an earlier transition. Transition a few feet further, as soon as you can. That might be able to pick them up an extra second or two and get that 25-second mark that Mark was talking about.
Yeah, and those are the kinds of, details. If you're going to, really compete for the top spot, you've got to nail the details. And that's why, people are always harping on STC, being super sticklers about, getting out at midnight or whatever. But being detail-oriented is what's going to shave off those, 1 second here, half a second there. It adds up. And it makes, like I keep saying, it makes a difference between the 210 teams and the 206 teams.
And I think people they harp on it, but it's always easy to criticize the king when you're sitting on top of those trophies, isn't it?
We'll be getting to them soon. 3 more heats remain today. The next one coming up, Fringe A, CIA B, Phi Delta A. Fringe, pretty solid showing so far on the women's side. What do you expect out of them on the men's?
So originally I had this heat as potentially being interesting. CIA's overperformance last year combined with Fringe's underperformance, made me a little concerned. But after I saw Fringe's B team, I have much higher expectations for Fringe's A team. I think this is going to be a clean heat. Fringe getting out in front first, posting a really nice time. CIA B, in contention for the second day, right? Might be coming in with one of these high teens times that we've been talking about. And Phi Delta A should have nothing but daylight in front to make a really clean run.
And I think the best thing about Fringe this year is they have only 3 wheels this year. They had 9 last year, which I think putting out that buggy really hurt them. You have less people working on a buggy that's not an 18 buggy. I think the new buggy coming out is going to be great. With that, their speeds look good on rolls. So I think that recipe works for Fringe. We'll see. They definitely rebuilt. They've got a huge underclassmen contingent that now they have a bigger pool to pull pushers from. So it'll be an exciting race, like Mike said. They definitely have the recipe. It's whether that recipe actually comes together in the order that you want it to.
We'll be getting go with this race in about 1 minute. Run through that leaderboard right there. CIA A in first place currently with a 2:10.5. Spirit A second place, 2:11.898. Fish A did not hit the push bar. So SDC B currently in third place with a 2:15. Fringe B right after them. Still plenty of movement though to come with these last couple heats. You think CIA B, could get one of those competitive B team times. Fringe A, potentially trying to get into that top 3 type of area. What are you guys expecting? A low teens? no two teams?
Out of CIA B?
No, a Fringe.
Fringe. I'm expecting 212, 211.
I'm gonna go with 209, 208. for
Wow.
Grudge. I think this is the year that they're putting it back together. They've recruited a lot of good
10,
pushers, and they got best
9, 8, 7,
I'm going to go with I have no idea.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
Here we go. Our questions will be answered. All three teams coming off. Fringe A separating themselves pretty clearly here on Hill 1. Buggy getting a little bit away from the pusher right there. He's looking to have a pretty nice Hill 1 time right there. Feed cut out there, 17 seconds on the Hill 1, just about in line with Spirit there.
What a fantastic technique by the Hill 1 pusher.
Coming out into that Hill 2.
Perfect push off by a Fringe.
Yeah, another 27 to the transition, so not smoke.
Looking to be similar time as Spirit, at least through the start there. CIA B fairly back behind them, and then 5LA bringing up the rear. Coming through in this free roll. Cruising daylight, about a 53, 54 at the stop sign, a little bit slower.
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing all day, but then we have teams putting around a 53, 52 stop sign time, but still coming
Fringe
out.
coming down to the track. Turn in. Nicely done. Taking a very inside line by CIA. Held it together though. They both are through cleanly. Fringe rolling up.
See that transition right there.
Pusher overcooked it.
Yeah.
And CIA
got blown out.
Wow. A little bit of Goldilocks there. One a little bit too early, another a little bit late. Fringe A maintaining their lead though on that 3-4 transition. But that may have cost them some precious seconds there on that Hill 3 pickup. CIA B, pretty competitive right there. Only, maybe 2 buggy lengths behind them. Shove now on the 4 to 5. CIA B makes a shove as well. Fringe A
AB took a very aggressive inside line in the chute, and they got rewarded for it. They caught right up. Very impressive drive.
And despite all of that, Fringe A looking to have a very nice time coming in here. Let's see. We're going to put them at a 212.46. CIA B with about a 215 or so. Very nice out of them. And Fidel A coming through here. Might be a sub 230. That's pretty nice showing for them. Yeah, 226.21. Very nicely done. All three teams in that heat. That was some good buggy right there we just witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, the men are not performing up to the bar that the women set.
Yep.
We saw the women's times are awesome, really much faster than recent years, but the men's times are starting to look like more of the same. 212, 213, that's, those are the 80s times.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. I mean, we're not seeing the sub 210s like we usually do. But honestly, I think we might see that tomorrow. I think there's a lot of things we see on prelims that you're like, okay, I can do this better, I can do that better. Fringe's Hill 3 time, and Mark mentioned, he overshot it. And he had to pick it up and kind of like push it up. That's maybe 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the official times, Fringe A 212.461, so that'll put them into 3rd place. CIA B a 214.613, that'll put them into 4th place. Very nice showing right there by CIA B.
Yeah.
Hey, Will, what is the 10th place time right now?
10th place time right now. Scoreboard is flying around a little bit, but it's looking to be Fringe C with a 221.265. Coming up ahead of them, Sigep B at 219, SDCC at 219, Fringe B at 218, SDCB 215. So, that bottom half all kind of clustered in the high 2 teens. And then there's kind of a jump in that top half, right? CIA 210, Spirit A 211, Fringe 212, CIA B 214. 2 more heats left to go. Coming up right here, Sigep A, Apex B, CIA C. Sigep, really a wild card. You never quite know what you're going to get out of them, but they have a lot of talent.
Bill, the thing is, you're not gonna really expect anything out of the free roll. That's gonna be kind of the wild card moment. What you are going to see is a very experienced push team. So, honestly, I expect a fast buggy. I'm gonna go with a 51 stop sign time, but I'm gonna see their push team really make up the difference. Just because of their practice on going full speed at rolls might be different. But I expect a 51-second stop sign time and a sub 210 finish time.
They're certainly capable of rolling fast. We haven't seen it this year. There are many years where we don't see it till race day. They've had, more recently, they kind of stepped it up truck weekend. That didn't happen. They were focused on qualifying their new buggy. So this could be anywhere. This could be 210. This could be 218.
Yeah, we've been consistently, overhyping the front hills, but I'd have to say that Sigep's front hills look very interesting. We've got Isaiah Edmonds, a proven Hill 1 phenomenon, and then the Turkish Terror on Hill 2, another very experienced pusher. So I have a lot of high hopes for this Sigep front hills.
I remember being at rolls and looking at Sigep and looking at Alp and just being like, you have to be a Hill 2. If there's nobody else that can complement Isaiah as well as him. And he was like, there could be. I was like, no. If you guys want to win, that's who this has to be. And when you see teams like that, you see the chemistry between pushers. Like we talked about before, the recipe. That's what's going to make the difference between a top 5 team and top 10.
210, the time to beat with CIA if they want to move into first place. Again, after this, we'll see SDC's A team. As of now, I don't see any re-rolls on the schedule, so that may be it.
They usually wait until everything's kind of done for sweepstakes to conjure together. You have to go with the head judge, the safety chair, sweepstakes chairman. You kind of have to group together and come up with a decision as a group to say like whether or not we're going to grant free rolls. With re-rolls, usually the status quo is just grant them and then worry about accepting the second time when you go through tape review. So if Sigep's challenging it, they'll probably get it, and then sweepstakes will have to decide whether or not they'll accept the time or not.
Team's getting set on the course.
It seems like Sigep would want one. It's not that big of a gap to get them in the top 10 and be here tomorrow.
Yeah, very tight, that bottom half of the top 10. You got to imagine they're going to be looking for one for their B team, but now very close to the moment for their A team. How do they qualify? Where do they go into tomorrow? So much talk every year about Sigep's potential. Let's see whether they can live up to it here. Also on the course, we're going to have Apex B, CIAC.
Yeah.
All in red. Very, very red race.
Yeah, you guys should really coordinate that next time. It's going to get confusing for us.
I'm calling King of the Hill in the red shirt for this heat.
Mark is always adding good commentary.
It's good to see Apex fielding a B team here. It's really important, to make that push, I guess. It's a lot easier to race one team than it is to race two. You can, fill out one push team easily with a bunch of mechanics.
Right.
But yeah, it's really good to see that they're fielding a strong B team here.
Also, the best thing about having two teams, if anything happens between with the A team and you need to sub pushers, you still get the experience with those pushers, and it gives your B team actually a chance.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
Here we go, things are off. Isaiah flying out on hill 1 right there.
That was the best bid we ever gave. Just putting it out there, guys.
Don't count your tickets before the hatch.
Right about 17 seconds, but he pushes that way up. Alp gonna get one push on it.
There we go.
Deep but decent.
The transition very deep from 1 to 2. Sigep very far ahead. Is that CIA second or?
Let's wait until we get a shot.
Sigep, no one in their neighborhood right now.
Yeah, I can't really tell who's in second place right now.
A lot of separation, about a 52-second there on the stop sign time. As they're nearing the chute.
Sigep rolling fast. See a red compact. Turning.
Men
Nice.
Heat 10
Smooth.
in 8 minutes.
Oh,
Men
the crack, but she's in
Heat
through
8 minutes.
some pieces of.
Oh.
And there goes a
Oh.
wheel.
Oh, and Sigep's buggy has stopped.
Let's see what
It's like
happens.
a
Hopefully the
lost
other
wheel.
drivers are able to go around.
Let's see, drivers hugging in tight there, able to make the pass.
Not a bad pickup.
No?
Apex on the pickup there. CIA, maybe 2 buggy lengths behind them.
CIA really has some depth this year. That's impressive.
Look at that transition. Whoa! A little bit of a collision right there between that 3-4 transition. Everybody looks okay to have stood up, and we got a little bit of a tight race here on the back end. Of course, the big story, Sigep stopping there coming out of the chute. But things are neck and neck right now. Apex and CIA. Apex looking to pull ahead a little bit here. Apex B, CIA C. Transition 4 to 5 happens first for Apex B. Got about a buggy length separation between them here. That's maybe just the difference between a B team and a C team. CIAC closing a little bit of ground. But it's looking like Apex pulling the line coming up here. Hands on the push bar. 230.98. CIA
Is he all right?
lost the it looks like took a crash there. Standing up.
All right. Just
But, yeah.
referencing Sigep's issue down here. Shades of last year, where Barracuda essentially had a bearing failure, and the wheel on the outside of the buggy in the turn just gave it up when the bearing failed, and they slithered into the bales. Here, it happened in almost the same spot. Pieces fell out, and they made it over to the driveway before the wheel fell off. So, this is one of those things, a bearing failure almost never happened, and you would know if you had issues if you practiced more. So they kind of bought this themselves. Yeah, Dwayne is holding an entire bearing down here in the chute. Holy cow.
Yeah, hold that tight, Mark. Don't give it up. Assuming Sigep will want it back just to make sure.
Wow. That is things were looking good at
It's
mechanical failure there.
extremely, personally speaking, it's extremely depressing to see that, just because having anticipated a 51 second, seeing a barely 52 stop sign time, you're like, okay, we're on the verge of a sub 210 time, and Sigep taking the leaderboard and proving to be a contender for the #1 spot against SDC this year. And then that happens.
And you don't even get to see the back hills.
No, you don't even-
Which is unfortunate. You talk about an experienced team, and it's unfortunate not to see those guys get to push on the back end right there.
All right, so now we've got a real interesting story.
Hold on real quick. We got a replay up here on the screen. See that bearing come off. Yeah. Good driving, though, in the sense to stop there. And good driving by the other 2 squads just to make it around.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of alternate strategy Sigep has, but Sigep B is right on the very edge of that high teens. They'd be the first, the slowest team out of that chunk. And, given the missed push bars, they might make it to the second day with their B team. And that opens up, if depending on their alternates on the roster, that opens up the possibility of them substituting their 18 pushers back onto their B team and getting a full run around the course tomorrow.
Right. If they're, I would expect SDC, I would expect Sigep B get a re-roll, get a better time, come out on day 2 with a 1, 2, and 5 replaced by their 18 pushers, which I think are the best ones to
It
replace.
does look like their entire B team's alternates are their A team.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
In the event that your A team, something happens, something catastrophic like this, you're able to salvage a competitive team by doing that.
And so that potential reroll now becomes so important.
Yes.
Well, they're already in for tomorrow with their existing time. So as long as their 2 more buggies don't clear 2:19.794,
right.
they're here tomorrow.
Yeah, that's correct, right.
And SDC is obviously going to put up a time faster than 2:19. If they don't,
I mean,
that
then
might be
again, right?
crazy.
Pending, no mechanical failure, no push bar failure, we've kind of seen, at least, right? We saw with Fishing Club, no push bar, one of the favorites. We saw
Right.
Sigep, mechanical failure, one of the favorites. SDC, generally that type of thing doesn't happen to SDC.
No.
But that's why they roll the races. So, the pressure's on them, but you got to think through this. They don't have to, push themselves too hard to get into a day 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to advise Sigep to take a hard look at the rule book there. The reroll rules have also not been, followed to the letter by Sweepstakes Committee recently. You're supposed to have your rerolls in the second day, and that reroll time counts as your final time. Right? That's what it's written in.
Yeah.
So, if they reroll today, and they don't make it to the second day, they lose their chance to substitute in that 18.
Right.
Right.
With the ways I know there's buggy bylaws, which we usually try to hold to a Bible standard, but as terms of implementation, we usually run on how long do we have the permits for the course. So that being said, it's easier and more efficient to have rerolls on day 1, just because we have the permits for the roads, we have the conditions. If things like the hiccups that we had this morning with the course happen, then you're pushing everything back for those rerolls. It creates a lot of havoc. So it's actually better for sweepstakes. It's better for the course, really, to just do the rerolls later that day.
What do they have it through? 1 today?
1 reroll schedule?
No. What time is the course? 1 o'clock?
Usually the permits give us until 2 o'clock.
Okay.
We try to end races before 2, well before 2, so that we can, get the course cleared and gives time to, break down the barricades and communicate to all the police and everything. That being said, I know tomorrow morning is going to be another hard day on sweepstakes, because I don't think Pittsburgh police are going to come out again, because I don't think it's scheduled. So they're going to have to do the same problem solving as they did today, which means a lot more time getting things ready. They're going to want to do rerolls today, just get it done. Another thing is like the timing system. You don't want to have hiccups in the timing system on a free roll. You want to have it done while it's up and running, it's perfect, it's all set up. Just get it done now.
Well, we're just about to get into the last heat for the day. SDCA, some returning pushers there. If you remember last year's heroics at the finish line from one the Flash, Jordan Coons. And this year we have the return of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Did you come up with these names?
Well, I mean, Jordan Coons is old now. He's one of the 2 male 5-year pushers.
Oh, all right.
CIA has the other one. And so, yeah, that's a very experienced A team, as far as led by Jordan Stu in Hill 2 this year. We're looking to see a good time out of them. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, obviously you were probably expecting sub 210 SDC, or do you think, knowing the way the field's kind of stacking right now, don't push it too hard, save it for tomorrow? I don't know if that's SDC style.
No.
No, not at all. you go big.
There.
It's kind of like you don't take any prisoners. With that, I wouldn't hold back, but I would be more cautious on certain things, like making sure you definitely transition perfectly. Definitely make sure that your Hill 5 is hand on the push bar. Like Mike talked about, those details, adhering to the details. It may cost you like half seconds here and there, but you're definitely gonna finish. You're definitely not gonna get disqualified for something minor, and you're definitely gonna make it to day 2, where you can go absolutely all out and they'll drop like 2 or 3 seconds.
I think, at least for SDC, every chance to race is a chance to break the record for these guys. So, I don't know if they're going to hold back at all. I think it's just as likely for some of these top teams to miss the push bar on prelims as it is to miss it on finals. Obviously, we all hope that doesn't happen. But I think this team is hungry this year. They've done some really significant recruiting. I've seen a couple of the times coming out from practices. They've got a really high bar.
Getting set here. Final heat of the day, pending rerolls, which imagine we will probably be seeing. Where if how does that work out? Where say Sigep knows their B team is making it into day 2, would they still re-roll that, or can they do it contingent that way?
No, Mark's right. You just take it, make sure, because the buggy's good. You don't want anything to happen to the buggy where it needs to be like re-safetied. It's after the SDC run and you're going to make second day, you start prepping. You get your team away from the course and you get their mindset right.
I agree. We'll have to see on the Fringe B reroll.
So I see buggies.
It looks like we got buggies on the course. 30 seconds or so till the start of this, the final heat of qualifying race day 2016.
You're seeing Sigma Nu racing in anger for the first time today. They are celebrating 100 years of being Sigma Nu.
Congrats, Sigma Nu.
4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
So here we go, SDCA, the Buggy Empire, trying to get that qualifying time to day 2, trying to get that sub 210, blasting through Hill 1.
That's king of the hill right there.
Yeah, about 16 and a half or so. Jordan Coons flying into that hill too. Oh, he took a little bit of a spill.
He loves the ground.
Gets up, gets off the course like nothing happened. Machine-like SDC.
25 seconds to the transition, so they
50
weren't holding
seconds.
back.
So much distance between them and Signu, maybe in second. Hard to even tell. 50 at the stop sign. That's nice.
That's phenomenal.
SDC with no one in their zip code. Taking the shoot flag. Nice and smooth. A little wobble. Straighten it out. You got to go a little wide, but she's through. Carrying some pretty good speed. Sigma Nu coming right through. A little fishtail, but there they go.
Let's see that 3 pickup
Or is that
by
a
SDC.
pike tail?
SDC already into the 3-4 transition right there.
Here we go.
We're going to be doing this without much trouble. The question is just how quickly can they finish, and can they get across the line with their hands on the push bar? Blasting through Hill 4. We have some fast guys.
Oh man,
Perfect
And here we
transition.
go.
this is gonna be close.
4 to 5. We are going to be looking at a very fast time here, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Hill 5
jeez.
maintaining very
Breathe,
close
Mike.
contact with that buggy. Coming up to that line, we're going to
Oh
look
my
for that
gosh.
overhead shot. It's 1:59, 2 minutes.
Oh my-
2:02.5. That is a record. Oh my! SDC breaking the 2:03 barrier. My word. And this is just qualifying. This is crazy.
Told you they weren't gonna hold back.
Wow.
Oh man.
2:02.5.
So these roads being paved helped.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
And that wasn't the best shoot line. They could cut off that
No.
half second.
Like you need it.
Wow.
Inching closer to 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, that is the greatest goal ever.
Will, is this the first time that Malice hasn't been a buggy in a long time?
I think it might be. I don't. Do you know Michael Malice?
Oh no, that was Malice.
That was Malice.
You guys called it something else when we started.
Oh, might be. I just say things. I just like yelling. Huge out of SDC right there. And SDC just goes about their business. Does SDC continuing doing what SDC does best? Blasting through right there. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. Trying to get the official time, but you know, that looked pretty close to call that. 2 minutes, 2.5 seconds. Trying to see, we got some replay coming up right now. Trying to get that record time replayed. Yeah, here we go. Should have that on there. But congratulations to STCA. This is just qualifying. But like you said, don't take their foot off the gas. Trying to get a confirmation on that time, but it looked like a 2:02.5.
Now, to remind everyone, in 2009, SDC set the course record for 2:03.30.
Let's take a look here. Coming through slow-mo, and look at how much ground they cover. That was fast. So SDC, you know, really continuing their dominance. You know, after last year, CIA on the women's side getting the win. I believe going through qualifying last year, right? CIA was in first for both men's and women's. SDC coming back with a vengeance this year, you know, on the women's side, 8 seconds ahead of the nearest. On the men's side, it's actually going to look to be about that same margin, right? A 2:02 to a 2:10. Just on another planet. Pending, we'll see re-rolls if we're getting any. Hard to tell.
Now, with that, day 2 is going to be real interesting.
Yeah.
You're going to want to see the same SDC try to shave off a half second if they can, which I think they can, like Mike said about their line. But also, we've seen crazy things happen. So, is it still up in the air? I'll still come out. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a fun day of races. But I would come out just to see history being made. STC breaking another record 2 days in a row is a feat that you want to see.
Hey, can you guys run through the men's leaderboard?
Yeah, gladly. So going into day 2, I'm just waiting for them to update that time. They're hesitating to put it on there. But SDCA, whatever, you know, it ends up the official time being, looks like 2:02.5. They'd be in first. Second place would be CIA A. Third place, Spirit A. 4th place
5 minutes
Fringe
reroll.
A, 5th
5
place
minutes.
CIA B, 6th place SDC B, 7th place Fringe B, 8th place SDCC, 9th place Sigep B, which will probably be Sigep A tomorrow, and then 10th place Fringe C. Pardon me. We do have one re-roll. Wow, I am losing it. CIA C and Apex B coming up re-rolling here.
Honestly, I'm speechless. I think between the sadness of Sigep coupled with a team like SDC crushing the record.
That was, everybody kind of played out their character in a bit of a way, you know. SDC, you know, the Empire, crushing it there. You know, Fishing Club and kind of this continued, you know, floundering the past couple years continues that. Sigep, you know, very nearly on the cusp of greatness, just can't quite get it. Other people though, definitely give shouts out to CIA A, 210, very nice time. Spirit A, 211.898, very good time. Be interesting to see if either of them can get sub 210 tomorrow. Have the potential possibly out there. That top of the leaderboard will be interesting, and then of course Sigep enters that conversation as well.
I think that would really, you know, mark the advancement of the sport. People were talking about like orgs getting dropped, not being able to roll anymore, Buggy getting smaller. That's somewhat of a myth. I actually went back and I counted. There's been about the same number of teams these last 4 years at least.
Yeah.
3 minutes.
It's held relatively constant, but with when times drop across the board by a couple seconds, you know that everyone's picking it up. They're learning. They're getting faster. And like we're saying, it just takes a few details here and there to really, push everybody over into that 206. And then it's just a matter of like, is that your day, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you happen to recruit that really fast one dude? Yeah.
Do we know who's re-rolling?
Yeah, it's CIAC and Apex B. So they were the ones in the roll with Sigep A, where Sigep A stopped in the shoot there. So,
With both times being sub, I'm gonna say they're definitely sub 230s, but I don't think they're gonna edge out Sigep B for the 219
2 minutes
spot.
till reroll. Please
Doubtful.
clear the street. 2 minutes.
2 minutes till
Please
reroll.
clear the street.
There is a reroll coming, so everybody please do maintain clear streets, as we will have one reroll. It looks like here, and then qualifiers is in the books. Going to be an interesting day tomorrow. Women's side and men's, really the first place, assuming everything sticks to form, looks like SDC, but very tight beyond there to figure out who else is up on that podium. Obviously so much work goes into this throughout the whole year, just to get on that podium, to get to day 2 is important. But I think we're going to see some really good competition coming up.
Yeah, just looking at these men's times, 2 through 5.
Yeah,
I still see Fish A on there, but 2 through 4, pretty tight. That could all get mixed up tomorrow. Talking about Sigep making it with their B team, putting the A team pushers on there.
1 minute.
But you got to remember,
Please
they're
clear
running
the
that
street.
buggy with the small wheels, and it clearly was not rolling on par with the other big boys. So it'll be interesting. I don't see them with that buggy
Clear the streets.
being
people,
able to make a
please.
dent.
Do we have confirmation who the 10th team coming in is?
So let me pull that up. The 10th team would be Fringe C, with a
Fringe
221 Fringe C.
Oh, sorry.
Would
30
be
seconds.
when you
Clear
take
the
Fish
street.
out.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're getting ready for the final race of qualifying today. Apex B, CIAC, CIAC in lane 1, Apex B, lane 2. Another red race. Wind picking up a bit here.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
And here we go. Final heat of the day. Neither of these teams necessarily looking to be able to crack that second day leaderboard, but you know, obviously you train so much, you go through so much to get ready for today. You want to put your best race forward, and that's what we're looking to see out of these two. CIA, couple buggy lengths ahead. Apex a fair way back.
Ooh, picked it up a bit.
Early release, yeah. Interesting technique there. And
He kind of like half grabbed the push bar, and as he pushed, it kind of brought the rear wheels off the ground.
Yep.
And Apex rolling pretty nicely in the free roll. I don't know if they caught up a little bit, but sort of looked like that. Smooth, clean driving here.
Nice tight lane.
Yeah, minute on that stop sign time. Minute 3 for Apex. It's like he's even a little bit slower
All right.
than earlier.
CIA coming in. Apex taking the upper transition flag. CIA taking the shoot flag. Little bobble, tiny little bobble. Smoothly through, clean. Apex had a little early fishtail there through. Rolling out.
Here we go, coming into Hill 3. Final back hill of the day. A little stutter step right there by CIA. Catches up to the buggy.
That's a solid pickup by Hill 3, though.
That was nice. Good adjustment and hit it with carrying the momentum properly. 3 to 4 transition made by CIA, now being made by Apex B. Coming up here, this final roll of qualifiers. And catching up a bit is Apex B on their Hill 4. Closing that gap, it was fairly significant, and now might be a little bit of a foot race, at least making things interesting here as we close it out. CIAC, though, taking that inside position, not really letting Apex have much room to breathe. And it looks like maybe a buggy length will be the difference in this race. Apex catching up, however, is going to be about neck and neck. Apex trying to take a line around. Had to risk it, couldn't quite get it. 2:31. Going to be the CIAC time. Apex B a little slower than that.
Yeah, she wanted to go to the right, but that's the unpaved section of the parking spaces there on the far side of that little.
Yeah. Or she would have hit the stanchions.
Yeah, that would have. Yeah.
So there you have it.
Wow.
Qualifiers are in the books. Moving on to day 2. On the women's side first, the top 8, SDC A, CIA A, Fringe A, Spirit A, SDC B, Sigep A, Fish A, CIA B. On the men's side, the top 10 with a new record. SDCA going to be moving on first, then CIA A, Spirit A, Fringe A, CIA B, SDC B, Fringe B, SDC C, Sigep B, Fringe C. SDC, 3 teams moving on to day 2. So any final thoughts today, gents?
I'll say we talked about the course. There's one thing I will say. I know they're listening for Sigep. Just because A team's out of the running and you have the chance of bumping up the quality of B team, doesn't mean you should have your heads down, in the sand and being sad. You have a great driver, you have a good buggy. Maybe change out the wheels a little bit and come out strong tomorrow, because you never know what could happen. You might be able to blow all these other teams away and take second place away from them. Don't be discouraged. Put it behind you. Sleep on it. Come out tomorrow. Come out strong. That's pretty much all I can say. The other teams, they know what they need to do. It's small things. But I feel like there's a lot of potential to upset at least 2 through 4 tomorrow. STC, just I guess don't screw it up.
Yeah. What's that coming over the hill? It's a monster. It is SDCA. These guys are mostly new pushers. This is like a lot of freshmen on that push team for SDCA.
Really?
Yeah. This is going to be crazy. I'm really interested in finals, and you can be sure I'm coming back to Race Day next year because that's going to be incredible. Yeah. Congratulations.
Mr. Mark?
Well, you got a lot of teams in the mix for best of the rest after the machine that is SDC. Interesting day down here in the chute. A lot of pretty good turns, terrible pickups, which really baffles me given that they had a full spring of practice. So I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully Sigep is able to put some better wheels on the B Buggy, put some pushers on there, and get themselves in that fight for the best of the rest. And I think it's going to be exciting, right? It's going to be very cool. Now you have the issue of who can get up and over first. Even if you're not rolling fastest, you can spoil somebody's day, right? You can make it hard to get around, and that's part of Buggy, right? You saw that with Fringe versus Sigep B. Luckily, I guess both of them made the show tomorrow, so it was not material, but tomorrow it could be. So hopefully another magnificent day tomorrow. We can talk a little about wheels. We'll talk a little about independent versus frats. And I'll leave you with the comment of, if you think there's advantages to being a frat, look at the leaderboard. How many do you see?
Well, then again, being a part of a fraternity isn't necessarily for
Buggy.
Okay.
The reason why
we do Buggy isn't for the sport. It's for the bond that you build when you do it. That's why teams are started. That's why you continue it. You build the relationships within the house by doing Buggy. It's like it's a rite of passage almost.
I agree. I'm just saying with respect to competing in
right.
Buggy.
Yeah,
Numbers
agreed.
don't lie.
No, that's another great thing about Buggy. You compare Buggy to the other quote-unquote big three. Well, Greeks saying, but I guess it's Greeks. But compare us to Carnival. That's kind of an opinion-based, judgmental thing. With Buggy, numbers don't lie. You can't argue with the clock.
And of course, the big clock, we can't argue with. SDC breaking that record, 2:02.499. Thank you so much for joining us today. Very exciting action and a whole lot more coming up tomorrow. So for Connor, for Mark, for Michael, for Anthony, I'm Will Weiner. Tune back in tomorrow. Thank you for joining us here on WRCT Pittsburgh and CMU TV.